Well, it's time for our bi-weekly show, Status of the NFC North. And boy, things are getting interesting in the North. Wouldn't you say, Tony?
Oh yeah, big time.
I know you're scared. Yeah, I do too. If I were you. I know you're scared. I do too. If I were you. You better bring your A game. Bring your A game. You better bring your A game. Bring your A game. You better bring your A game. Bring your A game. You better bring your A game.
So, this week's show, Status of the NFC North. Of course, the Vikings are on top in this graphic because they're the team we talked about. Surprising that the Lions are still up front, but I'm more interested if the Packers finish last or do the Bears finish last.
That's the battle for the bottom. The battle for the bottom, as I call it. And with the Bears, I guess we got some news today that it looks like Justin Fields is going to play on Sunday.
So I thought they would keep with the guy who was going.
Yeah,
he's got more wins. He's got more wins than Fields, doesn't he?
I think one more win, but yeah, they're going to play Fields on Sunday.
And the Bears are not playing. The Bears are playing the Lions, so the Lions should win.
Mm-hmm.
But we usually start with the Bears because the Bears are usually in last, but they're tied with the Packers. So let's consider the Packers in last place right now.
Okay.
So the Packers, they did not play well last week.
No, they haven't.
Right, and they haven't played well all year, to be honest with you.
No, this, like I said before, this is now for people that are old enough to remember. This Packer team looks like the Packer teams from the 80s.
Yes.
It really does. They've had their moments where they look like they're going to be pretty good on offense, but then.
Well, if we look at their games so far, they beat the Saints by 1.
Mm-hmm.
And they beat the Rams 20-3.
And the Rams were without Matt Stafford.
Yeah, that they were out. I think they had a lot of players hurt that year, and they beat the Bears.
Yeah.
So the Saints are obviously the best team that they've beaten, but it's good to see because all these Vikings fans who are young, they don't understand. They know nothing about the Packers being good their whole lifetime, and all these Packer fans who are under the age of 40 are also in the same boat. Yeah, they've had 1 or 2 years where they were bad, but they knew they had the Hall of Fame quarterback on that.
Yep.
Well, in the words of Rick Pitino, Brett Favre is not walking through that door. Aaron Rodgers is not walking through that door. You got Jordan Love walking through that door.
Yeah.
So get ready, Packer fans. I told Packer fans this. I said, you guys are sitting there wishing Rodgers was gone. You guys don't know what you guys have. You better appreciate it while you have it, because the Packers were the Lions before they got Brett Favre. I said they will go back to that, mostly because nobody wants to play in Green Bay. And I was told by Packer fans that's not going to happen. Not going to happen. The Packers will always be a top team in the league. Yada yada. Well, guess what? They're not.
No, they're not. They're not going to be a top team in the league. They're going to be flyover country again. You know, Minneapolis, you fly over Green Bay on the way to Chicago. You know, that's just what it's going to be like. And now they've got to get used to that. And I mean, they're already talking about shaking up their front office. So they're not happy with Jordan Love. They don't know if LaFleur is the guy. They've got defensive problems. And it's going to be hard to get free agents to go there. It's going to be very hard. You don't have that Hall of Fame quarterback anymore. So that changes the dynamics of your team.
Yeah, you got to stay in Apple. You got to stay in Appleton.
Yeah,
You know, you can't even stay in Green Bay. They got their 5-star restaurants, Applebee's.
exactly. Well, actually, it's Olive Garden.
So, you know, I mean, Brett Favre's restaurant might be one, but other than that, but I mean, it's a definition of flyover country. It's the definition of no one wants to be there. Yeah, Reggie White broke the mold for being a free agent, but they gave him a church for going there.
He got a church.
Right. If they didn't give him that church, he wasn't going to Green Bay.
And Reggie was more of a small town guy anyway.
Right.
Just naturally, he was a small town dude. So for him to go to Green Bay was no problem. But you know what? They struck gold, and they struck gold for the last 30 years with the quarterback position, and they got some key players, and they got new Super Bowls out of it. I can't take that away from them. But guess what? Now it's back to reality. Clock has struck midnight.
So not only that, they've had two Hall of Fame quarterbacks back to back, and they've only won 2.
Yeah, which is more than the Vikings have won. But
well, I know, but I mean, when you have San Francisco was in the same situation with Montana and Young, and they got more than 2.
Yeah, Brady too, and the Patriots with Brady.
Yeah, you know they you know so, and Mahomes is already been to more than both of those QBs combined.
Of all the Super Bowls that the Patriots were in, we never got the one that everybody had predicted for years: New England against Green Bay.
Yeah,
we never got it, and that's because Green Bay would do a tank job in the playoffs.
They ran into Eli Manning, twice.
Yeah, it was a Yeah, they ran into Eli Manning. They ran into the Falcons. They ran into the Niners. I mean, it just, they just couldn't get over that hump. And they ran into the Seahawks.
Yeah.
So.
Except for the Matthew Hasselbeck one. We're going to get the ball. We're going to go down. We're going to win.
Yeah.
Like, oh, come on, man.
Yeah. And even then, they botched that one.
Exactly.
Yeah, they botched that one. So, I mean,
I thought Tom Coughlin's nose was going to fall off in that championship game that they played in Green Bay.
Oh, that was the year we had blistering cold up here in Northland. It was bad. And but the fact that Eli went in there and just broke down the myth, and this is Eli, not Peyton. He broke down the myth, and he just went in there and acted like he owned the place. He outplayed Favre, and he outplayed Rodgers. He really outplayed Rodgers. The year that the Packers were, 15-1? So, yeah, get used to it, Packer fans. This could be you're going to be this way for a while.
Yeah, it's glorious.
And who did the Packers play this week?
The Packers play the Chargers, and to beat the Chargers, you have to outscore them, and their offense isn't good enough to outscore the Chargers.
Yeah.
So the Packers, they play the Chargers, then they play the Packers. They play the Chargers and the Lions. Then they play the Chiefs, and then they play the Giants. So, and then the Bucks, and then the Panthers. So I can see them getting 3 more wins. They probably beat the Giants. They probably beat the Panthers. And
how many wins do they have now? 4? 3?
Yeah, no, they're 3. Same record as the same record as the Bears.
So then they'd be 5-12, which is a drop off from all the years that they were above 500.
Well, if they win 3, they'd be 6-11.
6-11, which is still a drop off.
Which is still a drop off, but I think that's good enough for them to keep Jordan Love, which is what I want. I want them to keep Jordan Love as long as possible.
I don't think they're going to keep him. I think they're going to find a reason to let him go. They really are.
Well, Mark Murphy is retiring at the end of next year, I think. So I don't know if they do anything until then.
Well, Murphy's not going to keep him. Murphy's not. Why did they pick up his option year?
I do not know.
If they didn't pick up his option year, there's no reason to keep him. You move on and see what happens.
Yeah, he doesn't make a lot of money.
No, he's a rookie. He's still in his rookie contract.
So
they could pick up his option if they wanted to. Don't know if they will, though.
Well, he was a first round pick though.
Yeah, that doesn't mean anything. Look at
Well,
Lewis.
for money wise, it does.
Oh, you mean to pick up the option?
Yeah.
Yeah, but he was a 20. What was he? What round?
No, he was the first pick, but I think he was like 23rd, 24th.
Yeah, 23rd. He's in the 20s, so
yeah,
he ain't that expensive. He's really not. And plus, he hasn't done anything really. He really hasn't. So, oh jeez.
Yeah, so I don't see the Packers turning around anytime soon. I mean, someone said they're like the youngest team in the league, but they got some old guys on that team. The left tackle is hurt, old.
Well, Bakhtiari's the one that's probably going to retire.
Yeah.
But the rest of that team is young.
But they're not good though. They're not good young. Like the Vikings are good young.
Yeah, and Kenny Clark I'd bring Kenny Clark here in a heartbeat. They've got decent linebackers, but they just are really undisciplined on defense. Like the one I'd get rid of is Jair Alexander. He talks too much, and he's not that good.
People can't understand what he says anyway.
Yeah, mushmouth. I call him mushmouth, but he can't. I mean, he's just, he does all that talking, and then he gets lit up. So
yeah. Jordan Addison lit him up. So
yeah, he got lit up by a rookie.
And all you Packer fans out there who said, "Oh, Justin Jefferson only had 3 catches for the 70 yards," and then when they played Green Bay, Jair Alexander was not covering him one-on-one. JJ never gets covered one-on-one.
No,
they were bracketing him. The safety was always over him. They always flowed the coverage to JJ's side.
Well, then in that first game, remember, for some reason they left JJ wide open a bunch of times in the middle. And they kept doing it. It wasn't just one time. It was repeated. That's why JJ was going off, because they were not covering him.
Yeah.
The man was wide open in the middle of the field, and like Jair Alexander is like, well, that wasn't my responsibility. Well, what was your responsibility? To watch him run down the sideline with the ball after he catches it?
Because they were saying that they were playing zone, so it wasn't his responsibility. He wanted to play man, but you can't cover JJ one-on-one.
No.
There's certain receivers you can't cover one-on-one. Megatron was one of them. Randy Moss was one of them. JJ is one of them. Devontae Adams, when he was playing with Green Bay, was one of them. You just couldn't cover them one-on-one.
Yeah, and he's Jair Alexander and that's still his guy. Even if you're shadowing him, that's still his guy. Why the Packers would put anybody else on Jefferson other than Alexander, that's a coaching error on their end. Which, believe it or LaFleur has made some coaching errors that I question. I don't think LaFleur is that good.
No, he had a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Yeah.
That covers up a lot of coaching. Like Kevin O'Connell was proven to be a better coach than both of us thought he was.
Well, yeah, because he's doing damn good with what he's got, and he doesn't have a lot.
Right. So, but LaFleur did nothing with a lot. Oh, 2 straight 13-3 seasons. Well, take away Aaron Rodgers, and those are 6-10 seasons.
Yeah, he did it with Aaron Rodgers. And Aaron Rodgers probably was calling his own plays. He's probably calling audibles all the damn time.
Back-to-back MVPs.
Yep.
That's all you need to know.
Yep.
So so Packer fans, get ready for a long road. You guys are gonna be bad for a while.
Yeah, we're not talking 2 or 3 years. It could be a 5+ years. It could be back like it was in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll give the Bears some credit. We'll move them up 1, even though they're tied, quote unquote, for the division. We'll move them up 1. And of course, the Bears are 3-5 as well. And as you know, you said, or the 3-6, I think. You just found out today that Fields is starting. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. You would think that they want the other guy to play Badgett to play more because they know what they have in Fields. They know he's not the answer.
It could be also that they want to see what Fields can do for trade value
That's true too.
because Fields was not a Poles pick, but also now there is a rumor Poles is on the hot seat. He could be fired. So, depending on what's going on with the Bears, I mean, the Bears could look completely different next year. If they play out the string this year, they could look completely different next year as far as GM and head coach. And I got a pretty good idea of what head coach they're going to go after.
Well, especially now with everything that's going on.
Yeah, especially now with everything going on, I can almost tell you that it's going to be a certain Michigan coach that will be at the forefront for the job. Which now, put it this way, if that does happen, I want to see if the same guy sabotages that job too, like he did the other two for that coach. I'm wondering to see what happens. So,
so do they get rid of the coach first, or do they get rid of Poles first?
I think once they get rid of, well, who hired Eberflus? Was that Pole?
I am not sure. So yeah, you got the Jetsons.
I got the Jetsons doorbell on my phone.
I wonder if we're having issues because our viewers keep going from like 1 to 0 to 3 to 0 to 4 to 0. That's weird. I don't know, but we were higher earlier, so I don't know. I think Rap's still on, but yeah. So the Bears' defense is not good.
No,
which is what they're usually known for.
Mm-hmm.
So and the rebuild is not rebuilding. I think they've actually gone backwards.
It's, you know what, and Poles went in there to blew up everything. I mean, just got rid of a lot of players and blew up the whole thing. Now it just hasn't come to fruition, not quick enough. So,
yeah.
And the Bears are sounds like they're getting a new stadium in Arlington Heights.
Do you think they're going to suck until they get that new stadium?
They don't want to. I don't think they want to. I think they want to be able to put a product on the field at Soldier Field that they know would look good at the new stadium. So it's hard to say what the McCaskey family wants to do. But I mean, with Poles going in there with what he did, they're not happy. They're not happy with the result. You know.
Yeah, their schedule doesn't get any easy. So they got the Lions Sunday. Then they got us on Monday. Then they play the Lions. So that's 3 straight division games. Again. Then they have the Browns. Then they have the Cardinals. Then they have the Falcons. And then they have the Bears. So literally, they could only win one more game this year.
Okay, so who do they got first?
They have Lions Sunday.
Okay.
Then they have us Monday night.
Okay, that's 2 straight losses, I believe.
Then the Lions again.
Oh, got 3 straight losses.
Then the Browns.
The Browns, even without Deshaun Watson, is probably a loss. Is that in Cleveland or Chicago?
It's in Cleveland.
That's a loss.
Then they play the Cardinals. That's probably their win.
Kyler Murray's back.
They got Murray too, so you don't know.
Yeah.
Then they have the Falcons.
I'm going to say that's a loss.
And then they have the Packers.
Who cares?
So
Who cares by that time?
1 to 2 wins at the most.
Maybe. Which would make them what? They've got 3 wins now?
Yes.
They'd be 5-12.
They have, let's see. Okay.
All around the lodge, heavy snow moving was shoving back the remains of yesterday's.
They kind of have these years jumbled together. So let's see.
And now, almost 24 hours afterwards, presumed dead.
All right. So final NFL preseason. So it looks like they lost to the Broncos.
Mm-hmm.
Lost to the Chiefs. They beat the Commanders before they played us. So that's one win.
Okay.
That was that 40. That was that big 40-20 win. They beat the Raiders, and they beat the Panthers. And we all know the Raiders team that they beat is
That was a Josh McDaniel led team. So
yeah.
that was a Josh McDaniel.
Well, they've been clueless for a long time, Tom.
Yeah, they really have. Now with Poles there, it's Poles blew it up, and they didn't get the result he was going to get. So put it this way, Poles did in Chicago what he wanted to do here.
Well, I'm glad. Now looking back at it, I actually wanted Poles over Kwesi. I'm glad they didn't get Poles.
I did want Poles over. I did too. I wanted Poles over Kwesi.
But looking back now, I'm glad they didn't.
Well, and this is a letdown too, because remember the Bears were picked to win the division.
Yeah,
by quite a bit. By like they were supposed to be like 12-5.
I never saw that. Never.
I did. That. I did see that.
I saw people picking them.
Mm-hmm.
I myself didn't see any possible way they could win the division.
Yeah, talent. I didn't see it
because no matter what you look at it, there's two teams in the division better than Minnesota and Detroit are better talent-wise.
Yeah,
I know people hate on Minnesota, but talent-wise, they're still better than Chicago. Yeah, Justin Fields is good, but he's not a Patrick Mahomes or Aaron Rodgers that can make up the team not having any talent. The team don't have any talent.
Yeah, and plus, also, when the season started, the Vikings were so like top heavy on offense. Everybody figured the downfall would be the defense, and it's not. And Kevin O'Connell is putting it together, working with he's pieces, not stars. He's pieces. He doesn't have Kirk. He doesn't have JJ. We've won 5 straight, 6 out of 7.
Unfortunately, Tom, it was more than Adam Rank who thought the Bears would win the division. I mean, I get it with him. He's a Bears fan. It's a shtick with him on NFL Network, always picking the Bears, always saying Minnesota.
Is that the guy that always does the schedule and then he says
it has Minnesota
or lost?
It has Minnesota. Yeah, having the Bears going 13-4, having Minnesota be 5-12. Yeah, that's like.
Is that the guy?
The fantasy
oh my God!
Guy.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it was more than just him who said the Bears were going to win the division.
No, national media was just on the Bears big time. They were. They weren't looking at them. They said Minnesota was a fluke.
Which proved to be true, but anybody can see that was more of a scheme on defense. Like people talking about the 4-3 pass that Kirk Cousins made in that Giants game last year. And people were saying that's the reason why they lost the game. First of all, if you say that, you're just a flat-out Kirk hater.
That defense was terrible that game.
It did. I'm not going to say it didn't play any role in the loss. It did play a role in the loss, but that's not the reason they lost the game. They lost the game because they allowed 31 points to the sorry-ass Giants.
But put it this way, if it wasn't for Donatel's defense looking as bad as it did in that playoff game, Daniel Jones wouldn't have got paid.
Right.
Now the Giants are regretting it big time.
The Vikings would have got their ass kicked next week because the Giants played what? The Vikings would have played the 49ers, right?
Vikings would have played the Niners.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, I don't see the Bears. I mean, we had the Packers last right now. For those who just joined, we talked about the Packers. We can, if you guys want us to go back, talk a little bit about the Packers. If you just joined, we can go back, but. We had the Packers last in the last division right now, just because we hate the Packers and we want to see them in last division because they have the same record as the Bears. Technically they're not last because I think they have a better division record.
Didn't they beat the Bears already?
Yeah, they have a better division record than the Bears, but
so they're by that are ahead of the Bears.
But it feels better to put the Packers last. It just does. All their damn cocky ass fans. So, I don't hate the Bears as much as I hate the Packers. I dislike the Bears. I never want to see the Bears win. But they are kind of a train wreck of a franchise.
They are now. They are now, and it's hard to understand.
The Viking Funeral. This is on 2 channels because I have my channel, and then Tony does everything on Yogi's channel. That's why there's 2 different channels. I mean, eventually, I don't know. I can just put it on my show if Tony doesn't mind, or if we can just put it on Yogi's.
Oh, I don't care how you do it.
So we could just, if going forward, we could just put it on mine if it's better for everybody. That way. But that's why there's 2 streams going on right now. Viking. You can choose whatever one you want. I prefer you go to mine because I have less than Yogi, but it's up to you guys. I'm not gonna, force you guys to go anywhere. But their Fields is definitely not the answer. And all these Vikings people wanted Fields. So my question to you is, we all know Chicago is where quarterbacks go to die. So with KOC, if they got in Fields, do you think the Vikings would be? Do you think he'd be better on the Vikings? Because to me, in my opinion, he can't throw.
No, I mean KLC's kind of that quarterback whisperer, so I'll give him that. He can get the most out of a quarterback position. I mean, I can't lie, he did a lot for Kirk. He did, and you've seen what he's done for. He was going to do it for Jaron Hall until Jaron got the concussion, and you see what he did for Josh Dobbs. The one thing that Fields does have is the mobility. Does he have the arm strength? I don't think so. If you put him in the right situation, yeah, but he's not that drop back quarterback. He's not. He has to make things happen with his feet.
And KOC kind of needs a drop up back quarterback who can run.
Right. He needs a mobile drop back quarterback.
Yeah.
And Kirk was your perfect drop back quarterback, except he can't run. He's a statue. And now with the Achilles, he'll be more of a statue, I'm afraid.
And this is a good point, Frozen. The problem is the Panthers are so bad that's not going to happen.
Yeah, and they've got Frank Reich as their now. Frank Reich's calling the plays in Carolina, and the Bears have, I think, the top 2 draft picks next year because of the Panthers.
Arizona and Chicago, I think, have 2 first-round picks.
Okay, because I want to say
Arizona's blowing Arizona's probably not going to end up with good picks as they thought.
I want to say it was
the Texans, because the Texans are winning now.
Yeah,
and so is Arizona. So their picks are not going to be good as Chicago's, because Chicago has theirs and Carolina's pick. So the Bears are going to have the better of the 2 first-round picks.
So, but what's his name has said he's not going to play in Chicago, and that's Caleb Williams.
I don't know if I want Caleb Williams. That's the way he's been acting lately. You always take a risk with college quarterbacks because you don't know which one you're going to get in the pros. You just don't. The Bears got a lot of questions. And it starts with the GM. It does. It starts with the GM. Will Pace be there with Chicago next year? Hard to say. Eberflus he's going to be gone.
Yeah,
he's one of those offensive coordinators, one of the quote unquote young and coming up coordinators who, let's give him a shot to head coach. I think that trend might start waning a little bit. Maybe they might be looking for.
They're going to go for more of a. And it does this every so often, every cycle of coaches. You get your offensive-minded coaches. You get your defensive-side-minded coaches. And I think now – and they got Eberflus to work with Justin Fields. Well, it hasn't worked.
No.
It hasn't worked at all.
It definitely has not worked. And which, hey, I'm happy to say it's not working. So, because as long as the Bears and Packers are bad, I'm happy. And the Bears have been bad. The Bears have been bad.
The Bears have been bad at quarterback position for so many years.
I mean, when you look at their QB history, Sid Luckman still has most of the records, and he was a quarterback in the 40s.
Yeah.
So that should tell you how bad their history is. Then you have Jay Cutler, who most people would consider mid, probably not as good as Kirk Cousins. He's probably second in most categories. Yeah,
Yeah,
McMahon won the Super Bowl, but it wasn't because of McMahon the reason why they won that Super Bowl.
but he ran that defense is the reason he won that Super Bowl.
Yeah, and Walter Payton,
With Walter Payton.
who, by the way, never scored the Super Bowl, which Chicago Bear fans are so pissed off about.
And I put that solely on Ditka. How do you not give the ball to Walter Payton at the goal line? Matsui scored twice.
Yeah.
Matsui scored twice, and then Perry scored.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you not give the ball? But you know what? Rest his soul. Walter Payton was a class act. He didn't complain. He didn't bitch.
You imagine that was Peterson?
Oh, Peterson would have been, we'd still be talking about it now, and he'd still be pissed off about it.
He was sitting in his rocking chair. Right, damn, Payton gave me the ball to go line.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, hell, the Seahawks are still complaining about it with Marshawn Lynch.
As they should.
Yeah, they should.
As they should. First of all, you're down at the goal line. You got and the whole thing with Marshawn is the Seahawk players were just like, what? They got the linemen got to play in the huddle, and they're like, what?
Yeah, we get the best running back in the league.
Yeah,
in their mind, the best running back in the league, and you're going to do this? What?
Yeah, we're a yard away, and you're going to throw the ball. When you do that you deserve to lose. I'm sorry.
Well, obviously that's an offensive. If that's true, then it's oblivious to what's been going on the whole game. As a coach, who scored, who hasn't scored.
Oh, he knows. Ditka knows. Ditka's always been the one to kind of deflect blame. Always been the one.
So yeah, NFL Network has got they got Adam Rank for the Bears, who always picked the Bears to win and hates on Minnesota, and they got James Jones, who used to play for Green Bay, who does the same thing, always picks Green Bay and hates on Minnesota. But yeah, Adam Rank never picks Minnesota to win the division, even when he knows they're the best team.
That's why I don't watch NFL Network.
He didn't even pick. He picked the Bears to win the division this year, not even the Lions. When most people picked the Lions, it was either, from what I saw, it was like 85% people picking the Lions. There was probably 10% picking the Vikings, and then the other 15% was between the Packers
and the media, and the national media has been. I'm going to just say it. They've been Detroit dick riders from the start, and they still are. Even with what the Vikings are doing, the Vikings closing in on these guys, they still think the Lions are the best team in the division.
And Lion fans are they get chirpy.
Yeah, let them talk.
And
they ain't gonna have much.
And I've seen it because there's like, we're not the only people who do the status of the NFC North. There's other shows that do it, but but they have a representative on for each team. We're not big enough yet to do that. Hopefully one day we will be. But they some of the Lions people are like, they're not even worried about Minnesota. They're not even worried about Minnesota.
And that's mistake number 1 through 10.
So it's like, what have the Lions proven over their history for you to not to worry about the Vikings? Now, if it was a Packer fan and the Packers were having their usually run, it was the Packers had this record, they had Aaron Rodgers, everybody was healthy, and the Packers fan said, I'm not worried about the Vikings. I could kind of see it, but even Packer fans would be like, well, Vikings are the one team we always have to worry about in the division. They said that. But for you as a Lions fan to say you're not worried at all about Minnesota, I mean, your offense ain't going to score 41 points against this defense like you did against the Chargers. And you guys still barely beat the Chargers.
Here's the thing. When they play the Vikings, Goff may not finish the game.
Yeah.
Goff may get knocked out of the game. It wouldn't surprise me if he did. First of all, like we said before, the Lions are going to do Lion things. And when I say Lion things, they're an undisciplined team.
Yep.
If they start getting a little adversity, I don't know how they've got success now. How they handle the adversity, you never know. But here's the thing. The last 2 weeks of the season, the last 3 weeks of the season, not only do they play the Vikings twice, they got to go to Dallas.
Yep, they played Minnesota. They played Minnesota, Dallas, then Minnesota again.
Yeah, and here's the thing, folks. Dallas is probably going to be battling the Eagles for that NFC East crown or looking for a playoff spot. And they're playing in Dallas. So, Dallas is going to be all guns blazing.
So The Lions play the Bears Sunday, and then they have a short week. They play Green Bay. So you could say that they could win those 2 games, but they're the Lions. You don't know. So let's just say they win those 2 games.
Okay.
And then they play in New Orleans. Is Winston still the quarterback for the Saints? Or
I
is
bet
Carter the
he.
quarterback?
I bet he is. I bet he is.
And then they play the Bears again. And then they play the Broncos, which when we first saw this game, just like us, we were like, "Oh, the Broncos suck. They're going to beat the Broncos." This game Sunday night's got me a little nervous about if they're actually going to win or not, because the Broncos are playing well. I still think the Vikings are a better team, but the Broncos are playing better. So that could be a loss for the Lions. Actually, the last 4 games for the Lions, they got the Broncos, the Vikings, the Cowboys, and then the Vikings again.
And they're probably 1-3. I think the Vikings beat them twice.
So, because the defense.
Yeah, I think the Vikings beat them twice.
The Broncos defense, if you take away that Dolphins game, the Broncos defense, the only difference between the Vikings defense and the Broncos defense is the Broncos can't get any pressure on the quarterback.
And here's the thing with the Lions. The Lions' only dominant pass rusher, to be honest, is Hutchinson. And when you neutralize Hutchinson, you neutralize that defense.
And we all know Darrisaw dominates Hutchinson.
Yeah. So I'm not. I mean, and Minnesota's got more of a. These guys would know how to play in a big game, and I think KOC will have them ready. So.
Yeah, I think Hicks will be a bigger loss than people think, but Anthony Barr should pick it up pretty quickly, and he's more athletic than Hicks is.
Barr hasn't played all year,
yeah,
so he's going to be fresh.
Yeah,
with Barr though, I would expect him to rush. He's going to rush the passer more. He's blitzing.
Yeah,
that's what he should have did when he was here under Zimmer. And Zimmer, if any time he blitzed him, it was in the A gap, which you got to put him wide. He can rush the quarterback.
It's gonna be weird seeing him in 54.
Yeah, I don't know why. Some NFL rule, which is the first time I've heard it, he couldn't get 55. So I'm like,
so even though he's on the practice squad, I thought there was a rule there where he couldn't get the uniform.
Usually 9 times out of 10, what would happen is the players would exchange money for the uniforms.
Yeah,
but unless the NFL changed that,
or does it go back to the whole, like Dalvin Cook couldn't change his number from 33 to 4 for a full year because they had to sell the inventory that he had with his number on it. I don't think there's too.
I think that was a team thing. I think the reason he couldn't get 55 is an NFL thing. After a certain part of the season, you can't. The numbers are stuck with whoever they're with, and 55 is with DeAndre Carter.
Yeah, so, I don't think there's too many DeAndre Carter jerseys in the.
No, and he just started playing. He was inactive for like the first 4 or 5 weeks.
Maybe somebody who went to West Point might buy his jersey because he went to West Point. But other than that, I don't think there's too many people buying 55s. Yeah, Sarah, this was my other thing. I think that's going to cost the Lions as well.
Campbell's going to make a bonehead coaching move that will cost him,
like he did against us last year.
Yeah, right now he's making coaching moves they're working for him. He's going to make one coaching move, and his arrogance is going to cost this team. His arrogance is going to cost the Lions.
And right now, Minnesota and Detroit were playing in the first round of the playoffs if the playoffs started.
Yeah, in Detroit, right?
Yeah, but I'm not worried about that. So, but Goff is good as long as Goff has a clean pocket. He's like Cousins. He's not quite as good as Cousins.
And he gets frazzled with the blitz.
And he's Cousins, but when he gets pressure,
he
is not very good with pressure. And Amon St. Brown is good. He kind of worries me, but that's really because the Vikings are pretty good at stopping the run now.
I'm going to tell you something. There is nobody on that Lions team that even makes me a little bit worried. Maybe the running game if it's working, but they just don't. They don't scare me. Everybody's hyping up the Lions. Oh, look at the Lions this, look at the Lions that. I'm looking at them. I'm like, what? They're the same damn Lions, only they're winning this year. They don't got anybody on that team that strikes fear in you. They just don't. The only one that would really bother me is Aiden Hutchinson on that defense. and even he can be neutralized. And maybe the rookie linebacker, but he's also a rookie. So, to me, Lions, after I watched what they did against Baltimore, which was not a damn thing, but get their asses kicked, they got a lot to prove to me. So, you can say whatever you want on paper. You still got to line up.
Happy birthday to your boy, Skull. Happy birthday to your boy, North.
Oh, happy birthday to your boy, Norpheus.
Yeah, I'm not. See, I know the Lions are better than what they have been, but I have seen this team for 40 years.
Yes.
Until they prove they can do it time and time again, I just don't have.
I've seen it for 50 years, and it's the same as the 40 years.
I just don't have the faith that they can do it.
They
can't. Know what it is.
They can't. Now they're buying the snake oil that's being sold by Dan Campbell. Yeah. They're buying it, and it's working, which helps because guess what? Ticket sales are up. Games are sold out. They're getting on national TV. Okay, that's fine and dandy. It's not sustainable.
No.
It's not sustainable. And if they're successful this year, I guarantee you they will still be looking for a new coach in the next 2 years. Because they're going to go right back to the old Lions.
They have a history they also have a history of getting rid of good coaches.
Right.
Jim Caldwell should have never been fired when he got fired.
And they got burned for that.
Yeah.
They got burned for that because they thought you get the hot new commodity, which was Matt Patricia. And there was nothing wrong with Caldwell. I mean, they hung on to Schwartz for how long? And I'm just like, come on.
And, I mean, Caldwell was what? 8, 9, 7, something like that. I don't think he had a losing record, right?
No, he made the playoffs a couple of times. He had a damn good defense.
I mean, you're lying. You go from God, what's his name? The guy who went 0-16.
I don't even remember who it was.
But you go from him to Caldwell, and then Caldwell gives you all those seasons in a row. You remember who you are. You're the Lions. You have 3 successful seasons in a row. That's good for you guys.
Yeah.
You don't fire a coach after that. Same thing happened with Wayne Fontes. Now, could the message of with Wayne Fontes got a little stale? Who knows? But he was probably the most successful coach since the 50s when they won all those championships for the Lions. But still is to this day.
The Lions had Barry Sanders and still couldn't make the playoffs every year.
No.
You had the greatest running back, damn near the greatest running back in NFL history, and you still couldn't make the playoffs.
And not only that, they also had Billy Sims before him. They couldn't make the playoffs with him either.
No.
I mean, I know Billy Sims got hurt, but he was good before he got hurt.
You know where he got hurt, right?
On the Metrodome turf, probably, right?
He got hurt on the Metrodome turf. Walker Lee Ashley tackled him, the Vikings middle linebacker, and tore up his knee in '84. He never played it down again after that.
Yeah. There's another thing. They draft the top 10 every year, and they're still continuing to be ass.
Yeah, it's Detroit. It's just that's why I'll tell you what, after seeing what KOC, I have to give the guy credit now. After seeing what KOC has done with his team so far and heading into the stretch, we're not playing dominant teams. And it's even more so because now it looks like Joe Burrow is out for the year.
Yeah.
So we're going to play a Cincinnati team that's reeling just as well. So guess what? Seriously, the Vikings can run the table. They could seriously run the table.
This game Sunday and the game at Detroit are the only 2 games where I can see them maybe losing. Because who knows, the NFL, the referees could be involved.
Yeah, you don't. This Denver game bugs me because somehow I think the referees are. See, they're buying the media hype of what's his name has rejuvenated his career. They got whole Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
They got the whole damn Sean Payton thing. I mean, what the hell? Russell Wilson's finally getting laid now. He thinks he's Superman. Come on.
I mean, it's just the quarterback and the head coach. I don't dislike the Broncos at all. Never have.
I have no problem with the
But
Broncos.
I do not like the Broncos right now because of their quarterback
But
and their
it's-
head coach.
I don't like the Broncos, but fuck Sean Payton. I had to say
Yeah.
it. I don't like Sean Payton. Never have liked him. Never will like him. Always thought he was overrated. If he didn't have Drew Brees, he wouldn't have had the success he has. And he's a little gnome-looking, cocky, arrogant son of a bitch, and I don't like him. So,
Yeah.
you know, unfortunately now, I like Denver, but now that he's their head coach, screw Denver.
Yeah. Denver needs to change their uniforms, by the way. God, those 90s style uniforms. They gotta go.
They need to get rid of those high school
Oh
uniforms.
my God.
They need to get rid of them.
But- So recapping before we get to Vikings, so if you guys just joined us, we picked the Packers. We usually start with last place team, and for this week we chose the Packers, even though technically they have a better division record than the Bears. But the Bears have been since we've been doing this show. The Bears have been the first team we talked about, so we thought we'd change it up, talk about the Packers because they do have the same record. And the recap about the Packers basically is that Aaron Rodgers is not walking through that door. In the quote from Rick Pitino, Aaron Rodgers is not walking through that door. Brett Favre is not walking through that door. The Packers are going back to what they were from 72 to 92. So for those 20 years where they were by far and away one of the worst teams in the league, they were so bad they couldn't even sell out Lambeau Field. They actually had to play games in Milwaukee. So
they always play games in Milwaukee, but they couldn't sell out either one.
Yeah. So all you Packer fans saying you guys are the most loyalist fans in the whatever, give me a break. You know, if Steeler fans are probably more loyal than you guys.
Alcohol is a powerful drug, especially in a town where you have nothing else to do but drink and bang your cousin.
Yeah. So that's why the Packers don't have cheerleaders. They can't find women with teeth. So, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, so I mean we're not the Packers are going to be bad for a long, long time, and I'm happy about that. I you know, there's no reason not to be. I mean, their fans are arrogant, they're cocky. Most of them are under 40. They don't understand what it's like to go through the pain.
Put it this way: on a day off for the Packer players, who the hell wants to go hang out at Walmart?
Yeah.
Walmart. That's the only place you can go. And your 5-star restaurant is Olive Garden? Come on.
Olive Garden, Applebee's.
It's like, give me a break.
They're gonna throw a parade if they ever get like a Ruth Chris's.
Oh God.
I mean, come on, you gotta stay in Appleton. They have no hotels in Green Bay.
No, they don't.
Unless they Airbnb a house around the stadium, which I'm sure happens. But yeah, that's I'm just happy the Packers are going to be bad for a while. And of course, the Bears. What's the next team? The Bears are a dumpster fire. They have been for a while. I don't think anybody's scared for the Bears.
Norpheus, I know. I quit drinking years ago. So once I quit drinking, things cleared up real fast.
You don't get them liquid muscles.
No, when you quit drinking, reality sets in, and I don't know. That's because the guy running the Packer defense is an idiot.
And the Packer fans hate him.
Yeah, they want him gone. The Packer fans want him gone. Tell you what, I'll take a couple of those defensive players and bring them over here.
Rashawn Gary's probably the best player.
Yep. I'd actually take Preston Smith.
You know.
Oh, my babe's in here. She don't like the Packers either. She's a Falcon fan, but she lives in California. She went to the Packers, the home opener when they opened a stadium against the Packers.
Oh yeah.
She went to the game in Georgia at the new stadium, and she said the Packer fans they annoyed the hell out of her. That guy that's the Pope, the Green Bay Pope or whatever it is, he was there.
He's kind of a douche in person, I've heard.
Yeah, he was there, and she was just like, she had to be around all these damn Packer fans, right. And she was cheering for the Falcons, and they were giving her dirty looks, and she's basically like, "Kiss my ass, you're in Atlanta, asshole." Yeah.
I'm actually friends with a lot of Packer fans, but the Packer fans I'm friends with have been Packer fans for a while.
Mm-hmm.
They've been through the when Packers sucked, you know.
Yeah.
So they're a little bit more down to earth, you know. But my wife was actually a Packer fan when I met her. But the only reason she was a Packer fan when they met her was because she had a crush on Brett Favre. As soon as Brett Favre left, she dropped the Packers like a bad habit.
Oh, jeez. My very good friend, the guy that I played, did most of my semi-pro football with, God rest his soul, Chris King. He was a diehard Packer fan, but he was a Packer fan because of Brett Favre.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, he was a Viking fan at one time, but he's like, they kept letting us, they let him down. I'm like, well, then you're not a true fan. Shit.
No.
But and we used to go back and forth for Packer Week, and I miss that since he's been gone. But he sent me meme after meme after meme, like every bashing the Vikings. And then when the game was over and the Vikings won, he went ghost.
That's usually what happens with Packer fans.
He went ghost. But I miss him dearly, and I have friends that are Packer fans. But
my wife is a Texans fan now because she had a crush on JJ Watt. So, but she's still kind of mad, that he left.
But the thing with the Packer, see now, and this is what I tell people: I have no problem with the Packer history or the players and their lineage. I respect. Those damn fans are another reason. Those arrogant, drunken, inbred fans base that they have is what I go off on. Those fans are idiots. They really are.
Well, like I said, most of them are 40 and under. I can't. I don't know if it was a Bleacher Report or a Yahoo Sport or some kind of sports page where they had a survey of Packer fans, like they had age limit and all that type of stuff, and 85% of the people who took the poll were under 40.
Yeah.
And then another question was, have you ever been in Wisconsin? And 70% said no. So what does that tell you? That tells you the front runners.
Well, and there's been the whole media push too, because they glamorize what Green Bay was in the 60s.
Yeah.
And fast forward it to now to say that it's still that with the tradition and all the other shit. This is where American where American football was. No, actually, it was birthed in Decatur, Illinois.
Yep. With
George Halas, with the Decatur Staleys, who became the Chicago Bears. If NFL football started anywhere, it started in Chicago. It started with Jim Thorpe. And it started in a lot of places.
Why you got to bring shade? Because, I don't know. I'm not ugly. I'm handsome. But I don't know. Maybe we should ask her. I definitely married up, so I can tell you that much. But yeah, I don't know. He done through me. It's like funny how they totally bypass the bad Packer years.
Because a lot of them didn't live it.
Like they talk about the 20s when the Packers won all those championships. They don't say nothing about the 40s and the 50s when other teams are winning championships.
Packer fans skipped 2 decades. Yeah. They skipped the 70s and the 80s because they sucked.
Well, the 50s they didn't win much either.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, they didn't win much in the 40s.
They didn't start winning until Lombardi got there.
Yeah. So they won in the 20s. And then they won in the 30s, and the 40s and 50s they didn't win. Then they won in the 60s, and then they won in the 70s, 80s they didn't win.
They've only talked to the younger generation that have seen Favre and Rodgers.
Yeah,
that's it. You didn't talk to the generation that between Bart Starr and Brett Favre went through Hunter, Del Gaizo, Brekowski, Dickey, Whitehurst, Zorn, Ferragamo, Wright, Dilweg, Makowski, and others, countless others, and they forget all about that. They never talk about that generation. You would think the Packers didn't start playing football until the 1990s when they got first Favre, and then Reggie White. And people forget they don't even give Reggie White a lot because Reggie White played his best ball in Philly. That defense that Reggie White played on with the Eagles in the 80s was one of the best in all of football.
What was it?
The Eagles with Buddy Ryan.
Yeah, with Jerome Brown.
You had Clyde Simmons, Mike Pitts, you had Seth Joyner, you had Andre Waters, Eric Allen at the corners. I mean,
Andre Mighty Waters.
Yeah. Yeah, the Packers have never had a wide receiver on the level of a Randy Moss, and it burned them. And it's burned them.
They want to get rid of Watson now.
Yeah, they don't even want Watson.
Yeah,
they're ready to move on from Watson.
Yeah, they talk about the third and fourth receiver now. I don't know their names, but they talk about them more than they talk
I have
about
no idea
Dobbs
who they are.
With Dobbs and Watson, they didn't even talk about those two.
Yeah.
It's amazing. But so the Packers are going to be up for a while. We know Chicago's a dumpster fire, so we don't know when they're going to be good. The Vikings are probably through the franchises, since they've been a franchise, they've probably been the most consistent team of all the teams in the division. And
here's the thing, even when we talk about the Vikings BS in the front office and all that stuff, they've still been more stable than a lot of than the rest of the teams in our division. Yeah. For the most part. Except in the Packers, we don't know what the Packers, because guess what? The Packers don't have an owner.
So we don't know.
Yeah, so we really don't know. But it's
and you fans that say you have a certificate of ownership, So do you really think you're an owner? So when they talk about bringing into a free agent, do you guys get a phone call? When they talk about releasing a player, do you guys get a phone call? When it comes to paying a player's income, a salary bonus, do you get a phone call? No. Guess what? You ain't an owner. It's just.
Well, here's another question: how many of them actually have a phone?
Yeah,
How many of them didn't take it to the pawn shop so they could get another fucking case of beer?
Yeah, I mean, you have to be an owner. Yeah, to be a minority owner, you still that's the reason why Harbaugh is not the head coach of Minnesota, because they have a very, very minority owner. Mm-hmm. As the head coach. So Packer fans, if you ain't getting those calls, you ain't getting anything discussed, you are not an owner.
Yep. And now I want to see if that same type of energy that minority owner put towards him getting the Viking and Michigan job, if Harbaugh's name does come up for that Bear job, I want to see if he does anything to sabotage that. I really do. Because right now, I think it's personal. With that guy. Yeah. Angel, you know what?
We'll get into the Viking stuff here in a second. We're wrapping up the Lions. So I am not afraid of the Lions. They split last year, but if you look at the Vikings and Lions all-time records,
Vikings lead it by a large number.
Yeah,
the Vikings lead it by a large number.
Yeah, so it is. Let's see. So let me see if I can find it here. I know it's a big difference. It's like
80 and something.
Well, I think the Lions have something like half the wins against. The Lions have only beat the Vikings 30 times since they've been a team or something like that.
Sarah says that we own the Lions 80-41.
It's 80 to 41-2.
Yeah, and it's about to be 82-41-2. The Lions are not beating the Vikings this year.
I mean, there was years where the Vikings swept the Lions year after year after year.
Yeah, every year they swept them. The only time they didn't was really, I remember it. The first time they beat the Vikings was 1974 at Met Stadium after 13 years.
Yeah, so
the 13 tries.
They split last year, and then 2021 the Vikings swept them. Lions won the first one, 29-27. So they split 2 years in a row. And then 2020, I think it says here they only played once. That's not right. But pretty much like the Lions, if there was a sweep involved, the Vikings swept the Lions. I think the Lions have swept the Vikings. I think the Lions have swept the Vikings 3 times.
Last time the Lions swept the Vikings, I want to say was 2013. Maybe 2014.
2013. No, 2013. The Vikings beat them 14-13.
Then it was 2014. It was Zimmer's first year.
2014. No. Let's see. 2014. Lions 17, Minnesota 3. Second game was Vikings 14, Lions 16.
Yeah, they swept them.
Yeah, so it's 2014.
Yeah, and that was Zimmer's first year, and they didn't sweep them by much.
Right, and then the Vikings went on a run of sweeping the.
Right.
Yeah, and then of course we did have that one. We did have that one game where the Lions came in. They were not very good. We gave them their first win of the year.
Oh yeah, that was what 01? Yeah, they hadn't won a game all year. That was when Matt Millen was running the damn team. He was a GM.
Jeez, they've had some bad choices.
Oh, they're the Lions.
But, well, so even though the Vikings aren't first, we always end with the Vikings because this is what we do. So going back to this question, for was Angel. It all depends on if he's still blackmailed or not, or blackballed or not.
And you know what? For somebody to do what he did with this defense, blackballed or not, he deserves a head coaching job. He deserves a head coaching job. And I'll tell you what, I would be that owner that'd be like, you know what? Screw this. You figure it out. This guy is a damn good coach. You know what he did? He said the quiet part out loud about tanking, and he wasn't going to do it.
Yeah.
That's why he's been blackballed, because he doesn't listen to his owner. Well, guess what? Some of these owners are dumbasses and should just worry about owning the team and not making a damn, publicity stunt like we want the number 1 pick, because it doesn't always work out with the number 1 pick.
No.
If you're
as the Cardinals as the Panthers are finding out right now.
Right. If you're competitive, you're going to want to win, regardless of if you're 1 win or 10 wins. You're going to want to win, and management needs to understand that. I mean, Lovie Smith was fired from. He was going to get fired anyway, but him winning his last game made it easier to fire him. But here's the thing, though. If anything, Houston should be sending Lovey a thank you note, because guess what? By them winning that last game, they didn't get the first pick. Guess who they didn't pick? Bryce Young. They took C.J. Stroud. So who looks like the genius now, you damn Texans? That's the McNair family. They're another couple of friggin' idiots that are in the league. But if you're a professional, you're there to win. So somebody is going to take a chance on B-Flow, and they should. They really should.
All these fans are talking about tanking. First of all, players don't tank because they don't tank because with a new coach coming in, they don't want to be seen on the film as tanking, because that'll get your ass cut faster than anything else. And coaches don't want to think. Coaches don't, unless you're Bobby Petrino, coaches don't want to quit or tank because that's what they do. So I'm sure your girl knows about Bobby Petrino, by the way.
She has no nice things to say about him either.
Players and coaches do not tank. That's a fan thing. That's an owner thing.
That is a media thing. That is an NFL PR machine thing. Because every year, my God, you've got people now that live for this whole mock draft shit. They're in their reverie. Sorry, Yogi.
Yeah.
Sorry, Yogi. But they're friggin' having a damn orgasm over the damn draft, and the season is still going. It's like, slow the fuck down.
It all goes back to, do you care more about your fantasy team or your real NFL team?
And that's the problem with the NFL.
Yeah,
that's the problem with the NFL.
It's like I won't have a Packer ever on my fantasy team.
I won't have them on my team because first of all, they don't produce.
So
They don't produce.
I care more about my real team than I care about my fantasy team. Hell, I'm in a fantasy league this year, and I think I went like 3 or 4 weeks. I'll change my lineup as Sarah knows. But it's like I don't care, about my fantasy unless I'm in a league for money. Then I care, but I still care more about the Vikings than I ever will about my fantasy team.
Also, we have to bring into consideration now with the NFL in bed with gambling.
Yeah,
changes the whole dynamics of everything. So you've got that. You've got so many outside things that are influencing a lot of NFL decisions, and it's not good. But I mean, Flores deserves a damn head coaching job. I'll pound the table. You know what? And yeah, I want him to stay with the Vikings. But after what he did with this defense, and I think they're like number 12 this week going into the game.
They are pretty high.
Yeah.
Their defense is. But if you would have told me at the beginning of this year that the Beef would have the Vikings defense where it's at right now, I would have told you were crazy. And
I would have been happy because I kept my expectations low. This defense would be maybe 20th. If they were 15th, that's extraordinary with the personnel they have.
They are 13th right now. They are ahead of the Eagles.
They're ahead of the Chiefs, aren't they?
No, the Chiefs defense is good. Chiefs defense is 4th.
Okay.
Yeah. The Saints. Okay, for touchdowns allowed, the Vikings have allowed. The Vikings defense has allowed 22. So the Browns defense is number 1 right now in the league. But they've allowed 21 touchdowns. The best defensive, as far as allowing touchdowns, the best defensive team is actually. It looks like the Jets. They've only allowed 14. Well,
the Jets would be pretty good if they had a damn quarterback.
If Aaron Rodgers wasn't hurt,
they'd probably be ahead.
They'd be first they'd be first in the East right now if he wasn't hurt. That's how bad Zach Wilson is.
Mm-hmm.
He's too busy looking for moms.
Well, you know what? What the hell? You can't play football forever.
Yeah. But I want to bring up this comment right here by Sarah. Tony and I have been rough on KOC this year. We've questioned some of his decisions. But
I still do.
Obviously, he knows how to coach quarterbacks.
He's a quarterback by trade, so naturally you're going to know that's your position. You may not could play it real well, but you can coach it. You can give the fundamentals. So, yeah, and I give him that, and I give him respect to that. It's just I wish he'd give up the play calling, because I don't like the lulls that he has where we seem to have these big leads. More than we have 14 points, and then all of a sudden he gets lax in his play calling. Other than that, so far so good. I mean, I can't knock him really for anything else. I mean, the players rally around him, the players play for him.
I was waiting for that Lions fan to come in here, Nug, but he didn't show up because I was actually going to bring him on when we talked about the Lions. But
I don't want to talk about the Lions. Who cares?
But he wasn't here. But so good night, North. Yes, we missed that. Sorry about that. You probably already gone, but good night. But yeah, this is true. We can lose. They could sweep us for 20 years in a row. They would just tie us.
And they would just tie us.
Yeah.
They would just tie us. And that's 50 years, 60 years of, playing them twice a year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Frozen, you are right about this, Frozen. We could play them 3 times in 4 weeks. It all depends. The Vikings are probably either going to win a division or beat the 7th seed.
Well, you know what? It depends.
Well, because the Cowboys and Eagles. Well, the Vikings went out. They have a chance maybe, but the teams in front of them are the Giants and Eagles. The Cowboys and Eagles. They both have a better record.
The Vikings, unless they win a division, will be on the road. They have to win the division.
No, one of the wild card teams hosts a
no, they don't.
game in the first round.
No, they don't.
Because the first seed's off.
The first seed has a bye. So what happens is teams whoever wins the division, automatic home team. If the Vikings don't win the division, they're on the road.
So it'll be 1's off, 2 for 7, 3 for 6, 4 for 5. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they don't win. Yeah, that's right. Oh, I don't know why. For some reason, I was only thinking there was 3 divisions.
Well, and see, depending on if the Vikings run the table and somehow lose at least 1 or 2 games, and Detroit stays status quo, Detroit's the division winners, but the Vikings are still going to be like, you have your division winners.
Yeah.
They would be the top seeded or near the top NFC wise wild card. So they would technically play the third best division winner. They would play the 3rd seed. Because I think the Vikings would be like 5th or 6th. And I think 3 plays 6, 2 plays 7.
Well, yep, 1's off.
1 is off, 4 plays 5.
Yeah.
So
and as of right now, it'd be 2-7.
Right. Yeah, you know what? The Cowboys could win that East.
My name is Jennifer.
Well, the Eagles have already beat them this year, though.
Yeah, but there's still some football, and the Eagles aren't exactly like beating up anybody. They're just kind of they're doing enough to win. So I don't know, a playoff game on the road for Philly, that's probably their downfall.
Yeah, you can say that about paying B-Flow like a head coach money wise. A lot of times it's not all about money.
It's not all about money. It's about because B-Flow feels wronged by Miami, by what Ross did to him. He feels wrong, and he feels that he can be a head coach. And like I said before, a lot of these coaches have bigger egos than the players. So he's gonna want to run his own team and run his own schedule, and he's hoping that an owner will take a chance on him and let him do it again because he was screwed over in Miami. So.
It's hard to say, Sarah. I wasn't big on Bryce Young anyway. It's more Alabama quarterbacks usually aren't good.
Well, and which ones are most successful? The Alabama quarterback, Tua and Jalen, right?
Jalen Hurts came from Oklahoma though.
But he finished in Alabama though, right?
No, the way around. He started in Alabama, went to Oklahoma under what's the guy coaches Southern California now?
Lincoln Riley.
Right? Yeah.
Lincoln Riley.
Yeah.
And then you've got
Joe Namath is probably the most famous Alabama quarterback. He's probably the best one.
Yeah, Tua was injury prone. Tua hasn't got hurt yet.
But Tua also didn't play his whole career in Alabama too. I think he transferred as well. Transferred in Alabama.
And let's just forget about Mac Jones.
Yeah, Mac Jones played his whole career in Alabama. So the ones that played their whole career in Alabama have not been good. The ones that played at other schools have been good.
Hey, put up what Dylan said.
That'll probably be a little behind you. He's not pulling up comments from before. Talking about this one?
Yeah. Right situation. He's not going to find another Hunter or Josh Metellus, but guess what? Who was Josh Metellus before the season? The only reliable player he had on defense was Daniil Hunter and Harrison Smith, to be honest. He got the most out of minimal players. But now if he decides to be a head coach, he's going to turn that around on the whole team. And he wants to do that. The right situation, if the money's right and the situation is right, yeah, he'll take it. It also depends on the team.
He definitely is a man of principle, because a man of principle would not have came out and said what he said.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So
yeah.
But I mean, the Vikings are not going to overpay. The Vikings are not going to pay him more than they're paying O'Connell.
No, that just wouldn't make.
That would cause a problem.
That would devalue the head coach. It would devalue the head coach.
You'd have another Ditka Buddy Ryan situation. So you don't want to do that. But yeah, he wants to be a head coach, and he should be a head coach. He should be. I
think the Cowboys are winning the division.
I don't
want them to.
I don't want them to, but
I live in Texas. I don't want to hear them damn assholes.
Yeah, if there's a team I hate, If there's a fan base I hate more than anybody, more than the Saints, more than the Eagles, more than the Packers, it's them damn Cowboys. I have never heard any. I mean, every time I see Skip Bayless, I want to punch my TV, but I'm not gonna fucking have to spend another 100 some odd bucks on another TV just because I see Skip Bayless's ugly ass. I just turn the channel. But I mean, it's the Cowboys haven't done jack in what 30 what 20 95. They're coming up on 30 years of nothing.
Yeah. And the only reason they were that good was because of Minnesota.
Yeah. And, all I hear about is how about them Cowboys? How about y'all sit your asses down and watch y'all get beat and fucking just deal with being second place?
Because I actually read into that. I went to the auto parts store to buy new windshield wipers. And, of course, I had my Viking stuff on. And, of course, there was a cowboy there. And what's the first thing he said?
What, thank you for the Walker jersey?
No, Super Bowl. I'm like, and I was looking at him and I was looking at everybody else in the store. I said, listen here, dude. Judging about the people in this store, you and I were the only two alive last time the Cowboys won anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's just slow your roll a little bit. You got Cowboys. And they choke on more things than a damn choking hazard for a kid's toy. I was trying to be clean there. I had much dirtier thoughts in my mind. I was trying to be clean.
They've choked on more dicks than a fluffer at a gangbang, put it that way.
So, I mean, yeah. So, I don't know. It's hard. I mean, I want to say that the Vikings are going to win every game the rest of the season. But the Vikings also have a tendency to lose to a team they shouldn't lose to.
I think a game that really gives me pause is this one coming up, Denver.
Yeah.
I got pause for this one, and the whole dynamic, and I'm not a conspiracy buff to a point, but the officiating could be a problem. And the Vikings are one of the least penalized teams in the league, too. That's another thing. So KOC kind of has these guys playing disciplined ball, but it's the calls like we got last week with Daniil Hunter. He gets his helmet ripped off, but he's called for hands to the face.
Yeah.
It's those type of calls. I can see if the game is close, I can see somehow if the Broncos have that ball late, they're going to get a pass interference call, defensive pass interference call. I can see that happening. I can see maybe a late hit on Russell Wilson. It's just little things that I could see costing us this game. But do I see this team losing just looking at who we play and who's playing quarterback for these teams? No. I had Cincinnati down, but guess what? Without Joe Burrow, that's a completely different team.
Because their defense is awful.
That defense is horrible. That defense is horrible for the Bengals. So, I mean, realistically, this team could run the table. They could run the table.
And so right now they are 2 games behind Detroit. So
yeah, and you kind of got to cheer for the damn Bears on Sunday.
Let's just say the Lions, let's say the Lions have 2 losses. Let's say both teams have the same record when they play Minnesota. So let's say the Vikings beat Detroit at home, which I think they'll do.
Mm-hmm.
And then next week they lose to Dallas. So then they will both have 2 losses. They both have 4 losses. They'll be 12-4 going into the last game of the year in Detroit.
Right.
It'd be for the division.
Well, and technically, here's the deal: Minnesota would probably have the better division record. Because they would have beat the Packers twice, and they would have beat the Bears twice.
Well, so would have the Lions. The Lions lost to the Seahawks and Ravens.
But which game? But they got to lose 2 games in order to get even with us.
Right. So they lose to us and then Dallas.
Lose us and that. Okay.
Yeah. So the Vikings would be undefeated in the division.
Which also, the division is different, but then also just head to head in the NFC would come into play too, because we've lost to who? Chargers, Chiefs,
Yep.
and
Bucks.
Bucks and Eagles. So we've lost to
Yeah.
2.
Yeah.
And okay, so they lose to us and the Cowboys. That's 2. They've lost to the Seahawks.
But yeah. So at that point, it would be 12-4. It's that last game of the year. Regardless, will decide who wins the division because one team will have 5 losses at the end of the year, the other team will have 4.
Yeah, basically both teams are making the playoffs. You're just seeing who's going to get a home playoff game.
Right.
Yeah, you're seeing who gets a home playoff game. So,
and they might be the second or the third seed, depending on. I think San Francisco might end up with the first seed.
You think so?
They had that 3-game. They lost 3 games in a row. They're healthy. They could run the table too.
The Eagles are what, 8-1? Eagles
yeah,
are,
but the Eagles schedule is tough.
Yeah, but somehow the refs are going to help them out. Let's just be honest. You know, the only division we haven't talked about is the South.
Well, that goes back to the whole rule. Even if you're a division winner, if you should be in the playoffs, if you have a losing record, because that could very well happen.
Well, you know what? You got to win a division regardless.
Yeah.
You got to have a division winner. That's why I said, guess what? If you win the division regardless of your record, yes, you get a home game. Okay? I'm not with this whole, okay, wildcard teams have better – if a wildcard team has a better record than a division winner, you should play it at the wildcard stadium. No, because guess what? Wildcard means you were second.
Yeah.
You were second. How do you deserve a home game in the playoffs and you finish second in your division? Get the fuck out of here.
It's not like the team that won the division with a bad record. It's not their fault. Everybody else in the division was bad.
Yeah, it's not their fault. They did enough to win their division.
They were the best of the bad teams.
Yeah.
So
So
that's what I'm talking about, Sarah. The Eagles and San Fran play each other.
When is that?
I'm not sure.
Don't the Eagles play the Chiefs this weekend?
Eagles and Chiefs play this weekend.
Where at?
I think it's in Kansas City. Let me see.
Okay, Philadelphia could lose that one.
I'm sure somebody knows. Monday Night
You know what?
Football.
I keep forgetting I got the damn schedule here. Hold on. Sarah, the Falcons might. They've got enough talent to do it, but it's just Arthur Smith is just an idiot for a coach.
Okay, so it is at Kansas City.
Oh, you know what? I'm going to say that's a loss for the Eagles. I'm going to say that's a loss for the Eagles.
Yeah. And the last Monday night football game of the year is the Lions and Cowboys.
That's a Monday night game?
In Dallas.
Wow. Damn.
So yeah, the Eagles have a tough schedule.
The Eagles have been lucky that they're only lost one game so far this year.
Yeah, they should have lost to us, but
I think the Commanders could have beat them twice.
Yeah. They only beat the Commanders by a total of the 10 points with both games.
Yeah.
So the Eagles have the Chiefs, then they have the Bills, then they have the 49ers, and then they have the Cowboys, and then they have the Seahawks, then they have the last 3 games of the year are easy. They got the Giants, Cardinals, Giants. But they could very well, I think they'll beat the Bills. The Bills are not very good.
No, the Bills may not make the playoffs this year.
So they'll lose to the Cowboys. They'll lose to the 49ers. So that's 3 losses. When you got the Chiefs loss, that's 3 losses. And then they play at Seattle and they play at Dallas.
Those could be losses.
So you're looking at 5 losses right there.
Yeah, you don't know which Seattle team's going to show up. They're kind of Jekyll and Hyde.
So the Cowboys could win the division.
Yep.
I almost threw up my mouth saying that.
Yeah, I don't want to think about that either, but
because Dallas has the Panthers Sunday, and then they have the Commanders, which always play the divisional team stuff. Then they play the Seahawks, then they play the Eagles, then they play the Bills, then they play the Dolphins in Miami, Then they play the Lions, and then they end the season against the Commanders.
You know what? I'd love to see Miami put up 60 on the Cowboys.
Well, it's hard to play in that weather, man.
Yeah,
It's December in Miami. It's going to be probably 80s,
80
probably
degrees.
going to be humidity.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
the
I'd love.
Falcons, of all the teams in the NFC South, even though they did the 98 thing, I wouldn't mind the Falcons winning the division.
I think the Falcons will. I don't think there's any other team in
Unless
that.
Winston goes on some remarkable run as the Saints quarterback, which could happen.
Yeah, but he's such a turnover machine.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy, he's got an arm. We've seen that.
Yeah.
But sometimes when he shows his arm, he's throwing it to the other team. So, I mean, and here's another thing too. Also, even with the Vikings, injuries. Teams have got to stay relatively healthy now till the end of the year. Injuries could play a big part. We already see it with the Bengals.
Well, is it like the Eagles? They don't have very many injuries either.
No, not yet. No.
They've been relatively healthy.
Yeah, they have.
You know?
They've also been getting away with false starts every damn game with their tackles. And I wish to God the NFL would start calling it. I mean, Lane Johnson's moving early every damn game, and he never gets called. He hasn't got called yet this year for a false start.
I would say he's probably his seat is probably the hottest right now.
Yeah. His seat and Josh Allen. I'm going to tell you something. Buffalo fans are kind of getting tired of Josh Allen.
I told Buffalo fans that Josh Allen was not that good of a quarterback.
Yeah. He's
one of the most inaccurate guys out there. Yes, he went on a run where he was good, but this is the Josh Allen.
Yeah. Yeah, Sarah, you're right. McDermott's going to get fired.
Oh, yeah, with a team like that.
Yeah, he's going to get fired.
Yeah. So someone was saying there could be 14 coach openings at the end of this year.
Yeah,
that'd be I think that'd be the most ever.
The ones to watch is the Bears. Eberflus is probably gone.
Right. LaFleur might be.
Who's that? LaFleur?
LaFleur might be.
That's what I was going to say. LaFleur might be. Ron Rivera in Washington. There's talk that Daboll's going to get fired with the Giants.
Yep. And so then you have
Arthur Smith in Atlanta.
Smith in Atlanta.
You might have Dennis Allen in New Orleans.
Right. Frank Ryan.
Frank Reich, yeah.
Well,
no, didn't Reich just get there though?
Yeah, but they only got one win. So there's rumors out there. And all four coaches in the NFC South are on the hot seat pretty much.
Yeah, including Tampa Bay's coach, who's their coach again?
Todd Bowles. So also all four coaches in NFC West, McVay. I haven't heard anything about McVay is probably safe. I haven't heard anything
McVay is safe, but there's been talk of McVay retiring now for a couple of years since he won the Super Bowl. And he still has a contract on the table from Fox.
Yeah.
So he's won the Arizona coaches. He's going to stay.
Right, because they just hired him. And Murray was out most of the year.
Oh, Pete Carroll.
Well, he's going to be the coach of the Seahawks until he retires. That'd be my guess.
Well, the big name is Belichick.
Well, they only have. Oh, so you're saying that Belichick leads the Patriots?
Yeah.
That Pete Carroll might go there?
No, the one that could go there would be Brian Flores.
Right. Or Vrabel. Yeah. But Pete Carroll, I think Pete Carroll's going to be the coach until he retires. Keep in mind, he's 73.
He needs to retire.
So he may not be there too much longer.
Yeah, he needs to retire.
So the AFC, the only coach in the AFC East who I think is in trouble would be McDermott. Because the Saleh has the excuse Aaron Rodgers got hurt week 1.
Aaron Rodgers. Saleh's done a lot with that defense.
Yeah, and the Dolphins are first in the division, so McDaniels ain't going anywhere.
They just haven't beat anybody above with a winning record.
And Belichick will probably be there too, even though him and Kraft are not getting along. The Patriot fans are. I'm sorry, but the Patriot fans, you guys are sounding spoiled right now. If a guy gave me 6 Super Bowls, I wouldn't care how bad he was.
Well, they've had the success now, and
But they were
so-
shitty before he got there,
Yeah,
and they'll be shitty once he leaves.
yeah. And who was their coach before he got there? Pete Carroll.
Yeah. So, Patriot fans, you need to settle down too. You just like Packer fans. The only difference is you actually have the rings. So let's just be appreciative of what you got. I tell you, as a Vikings fan, I tell you right now, Bill Belichick won 6 championships for us. We wouldn't care if he went 0-16 the 4 years after he won the Super Bowls.
He'd own this state.
Yeah,
He would own this state.
it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Of course, that's Boston. They're spoiled with all their franchises. And then the AFC South, I don't think any of those coaches are in danger.
Except Vrabel.
Well, he might go to the Patriots.
He might get canned first.
I don't know. They like Vrabel in Tennessee. Nothing's his fault. If you listen to all the
Yeah, that's the problem. Nothing's his fault when it should be.
And then AFC West. I think the Raiders may not. The Raiders.
Depending on how what Antonio Pierce does, and that, by the way, to me, that's a trap game for the Vikings.
Yeah.
When they go to play the Raiders, that could be a trap game. Pierce is the only one who I honestly think if the Raiders play well, he should just get the gig.
Yeah, but how often does the interim stay?
It depends, and the Raiders are such a wild card team. They're just with Mark Davis. He's no better. He's not his dad. That's for damn sure. Staley's going to get let go in San Diego, LA, the Chargers.
Right, and then I'm going to
tell you something.
Reed's not going anywhere.
No.
Chargers coach is probably gone. The Raiders coach, they might get a replacement, and then the Broncos coach they just rehired. They just hired butthole face Sean Payton.
Right, but
and then in the North,
Stefanski and Taylor, both the Ohio teams.
You think Stefanski's going to get fired?
Yep.
That'd be dumb on their part. He's been successful.
Successful doing what?
For Cleveland?
Well, yeah, if you're going to have your standards at low.
But then they also have the excuse that their quarterback got hurt as well.
Well,
I think that excuse is dying, though, because look what KOC has done.
Well, Peyton went and spent all that money for Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
And then he's looking really bad because guess what? He had Josh Dobbs. And who let Dobbs go?
Right. And there was a show earlier before us, Rap Show. They were talking about why hasn't Dobbs ever gotten the opportunity? Well, look at the teams he played for. The team that drafted him. Who was the quarterback in front of him?
Who drafted him?
Pittsburgh. Roethlisberger. Hall of Famer. He hardly ever got hurt. Okay. But then he went to then he was traded to Cleveland. Well, we all know Cleveland is a dumpster fire.
He was a dumpster fire
over franchise.
Yeah.
Then he went back to Pittsburgh where Roethlisberger was still the quarterback. So he's not going to play. He's not going to play, in Pittsburgh. And then he went to Detroit. Well, Detroit, they got Goff. Goff didn't get hurt. So he's not going to play in Detroit. And then he went back. Then he went to Arizona. Well, Arizona, Murray got hurt. And if you want to tell me right now that Arizona has more talent than Minnesota, there's no way in hell they do.
No.
So this is Dobbs' best chance he's ever had in the NFL to be a quarterback, the starting quarterback.
And here's another thing, too, with NFL. This is a lot of NFL players and coaches. They aren't in this league because of their coaching ability or playing ability. A lot of them are in the league because of who they know.
Yep.
It's who you're connected to.
Look at McDaniel. He's a perfect example.
And see, okay, and now this is where I pound the table with the whole Brian Flores thing. You fire Brian Flores for being a coach and not tanking and wanting to win regardless of the record. You fire him for that. But you dumbass owners will hire Josh McDaniels, who will tell you to your face he doesn't want to be your head coach, and then take another gig for more money. And then guess what? He sucks. He sucks. He's terrible. But he'll keep getting a job. It's who you know. Literally.
Yeah.
It's who you know.
That's my point, Frozen. They were talking about that show earlier. Why has he been with so many teams? Well, obviously, if you've been with that many teams, that means you have the ability. The people see something in you. But there's also a lot of politics involved too when it comes to players. I drafted this guy the first round. He's my quarterback no matter what, even if this guy's playing better than him in practice.
That's the whole thing. And most of these coaches have an agenda to where they're going to push their guy and shove it down that fan base's throat that this guy was the right pick to satisfy their ego.
Yeah.
They're going to do that. The Vikings did it with Christian Ponder.
Yeah.
So that's the problem with management and with certain coaches. When I said coaches have egos, they have egos bigger than players. And Josh McDaniels' ego will ruin a team. So
I forgot about Tennessee. Yeah.
Yeah, he played the playoffs.
He played the last two games of the Tennessee for them to get into. They needed those 2 wins for them to get into the playoffs. He got him into the playoffs, and he started the playoff game.
Hey, can you go up a couple more? Sarah had a comment about KLC. And,
I was going to get to that. That was actually my next one. Yes, definitely.
Yeah, they could.
Definitely. But the problem is, will they?
Mm-hmm. And if they do, who's the quarterback?
Yeah.
That's the biggest one. The biggest thing right now for the Vikings going into off season is quarterback. Literally quarterback. So
do they keep Dobbs? If Dobbs takes this,
Dobbs is going to get paid at the end of the year.
If Dobbs doesn't lose a game and he wins a playoff game, do the Vikings keep him?
That's where. Well, see now here. Okay. What's his name? Mark Wilf said a very interesting situation at the beginning of the year. He made a very interesting comment. He said when it came to Kirk Cousins next year in his contract talks, he was leaving that up to Kwesi. He was taking himself out of the equation. He said that decision would be solely on Kwesi if he comes back or not. On if Cousins comes back or not. So now, if Dobbs plays well the rest of the year and say the Vikings make the playoffs and they advance out of the wild card to the division round, you've got a dilemma if you're Kwesi and KLC. And if Dobbs look good in those games, you have to think, do we stay with Dobbs, keep the engine going? You're gonna have to pay Dobbs. You're gonna have to pay Dobbs. If you don't, somebody will. Or do we go back to Kirk, who says he can still play, but he's coming off a damn Achilles.
And he said again today in his interview that he wants to retire as a Viking.
Yeah, he wants
to
retire.
But you're not going to retire as a Viking if you want $35, $40 million a year.
Right. So he's going to – but see, here's the thing also. Kwesi and the Vikings have all the bargaining muscle.
Yeah.
They have all the bargaining chips. Kirk has nothing. Kirk's coming off an injury, an Achilles injury for a 30-some-odd-year-old quarterback.
35.
35, be 36 next year.
Yeah.
And it's just you're going to – and here's the thing. If the Vikings give any kind of guaranteed money to Kirk Cousins, they're damn fools. But Kirk is also still on the books next year for like $28 million. So –
background, atmosphere, surrounding, that is a pressure.
Exactly, Frozen North. That's the whole thing. When Kwesi came in, if you remember his press conference, he said every decision is going to be done by a committee. Who's part of that committee? Kwesi, Mark Wilf, Andrew Miller.
And if I was an owner of a team, I would say blame me. Because I'm the owner of the team, I ain't going nowhere. So
the Wolves have never taken a blame for anything.
But
they've never.
But I would be like, blame me. I'm the owner. I ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, the owners have never, especially the Viking owners, and the Vikings, the Wolves have made buku cash since they got this team.
Oh yeah, they're definitely richer now than what they were.
They're richer now than they ever were before, but they basically went and when Mark Wilf made that comment, Mark Wills, I can see right now, was kind of like, okay, if he decides to move on from Kirk and it doesn't work, that's on him.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, he said bye to some, but not others.
not others. Harrison
He would-
Smith is one,
Yeah.
which you don't. He's going to be I think he's a Hall of Famer, but you don't
Oh, he's
get rid of
definitely a Vikings Hall of Fame. They should retire at 22 after he leaves.
They should have retired 22 before he even got it.
I know, but that's over and done with. So we can say that,
Well, if you're going to retire for Paul Krause, not Harrison Smith. Either that or keep it in circulation.
Well, the next number they should retire be 84. There's no question about that. That should be.
That should be.
That number.
Well, you know what?
Oh, by the way, Frozen, was that you that asked me about my name? Or was that Dylan? Someone asked me about my name, what my name means. If it was one of you two, let me know. Then GM is the bottom of the top. Yes, that's true too.
Yeah. But it'll be easy for the Vikings to put blame if they move on from Kirk and it doesn't work, because Mark put it out there that decision is up to Kwesi. So if it doesn't work, Kwesi gets the blame. If it doesn't work, he gets the blame. If it works, hopefully he gets the love. But we don't know.
Yeah,
he took a pay cut too. They kicked some of his money down the road too.
Yeah.
He's going to probably be on the books, but not for much. This could be his last year too.
So Frozen, I forget the question exactly. Ask me what the question was. Yeah, I forgot Harrison Smith took a pay cut. He took a pretty big one too, I think.
He took a big pay cut.
So, but he also said that he wanted to end his career as a Viking as well. I don't know.
They all say that.
No.
And here's the thing: they can end their careers. They can end their career as a Viking as soon as their NFL career is done. You sign a 1-day contract to retire as a Viking.
Yeah.
Jared Allen did it. Kevin Williams did it. I mean,
yeah,
it can be done.
Definitely Ring of Honor though.
Yeah. There's guys in that Ring of Honor that should be in there.
Paul Krause is not in the Hall, is he?
Paul Krause is in the Hall of Fame.
But no, is he in the Ring of Honor though?
Yes, he's in the Ring of Honor.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure.
But he's in the Ring of Honor.
Yeah,
there's a couple of guys that should be in the Ring of Honor that aren't. Bobby Bryant should actually be in the Ring of Honor. He's not. I even consider Bobby Bryant for the Hall of Fame. He technically has the most interceptions in Viking history because all of his interceptions were with the Vikings, all 51. Paul had 53, but the other interceptions were when he was with the Redskins.
Okay. Yeah. Have you also played receiver or running back?
Who?
Krause.
Krause was a quarterback at Iowa.
Okay.
Yeah. What's his name was his coach? Jerry Burns.
Oh, okay. Okay, so catch is it's kind of just it's because Randy Moss is a receiver, so catch that is 84, so that's Randy Moss. But TYA actually comes from an online. I used to belong to a racing team, and the name of the racing team was TYA, but I added it to my name because TYA stands for That's Your Ass. It was That's Your Ass Racing because we were good. So I added that to TYA to the Catch 84 because every time you played Randy Moss, he handed you your ass. So basically, it's Skull, which we all know where that's from. It's from the Vikings. So Skull, That's Your Ass, Catch 84, which is Randy Moss. So that's the origin of my name. So Sarah.
I want the Vikings to extend Hunter. I want them to extend Hunter.
The two positions that are hardest to place in the NFL are quarterback and pass rusher.
And here's the thing now. With the way the Viking defense has been playing, you're going to have some guys come up like DJ Wonnum. Teams are going to overpay for him.
Yeah.
He might not fit their system, but they're going to overpay for him. So Hunter can prove that he can play. Now, here's the thing with Hunter. As far as paying Hunter, do you pay him as a defensive end or as an outside linebacker?
There's always that's going to be like a debate.
There's a discrepancy in pays.
Yes.
So
the ends make a lot more.
Right. So if another team's going to bring him in, they're going to put him in a 3-point stance, which is what he wants to play. He wants to be a down lineman. So that's going to come into play. He has been playing more 3-point stance this year. Flores is letting him play.
It's funny. Last year, Dummichelle said, "Oh, this is a multiple defense." It was not multiple. You pretty much stayed in 3-4 with a deep shell. That was pretty much all you ran.
Yeah.
Like there was I was watching ESPN and there was quarterbacks who retired like 10 years ago. It's like, hell, I'd come back and suit up for my old team to get a chance to play this defense.
It was very relaxed.
This year, it actually is a multiple defense. It's a 3-4, it's a 4-3, it's a 5-2. I mean, hands in the dirt, hands not in the dirt. You got this guy, you got Metellus, getting on the line of scrimmage coming in. You got Harrison Smith coming in and blitzing. This is the defense that we expected to see when Dummichelle called it a multiple defense. This is the defense.
Here's the thing. If this is where I get on KOC as a head coach, you saw how bad that defense was last year. You didn't do a damn thing to try and fix it. Not a thing. And it cost you in the playoffs
because it wasn't like Dummichelle. I don't even know what his real name is anymore.
Donatel.
It wasn't even like he was the assistant head coach. That was somebody else.
No, that's Pettin, who was a defensive coordinator in Green Bay.
Yeah, he was the offensive head. He was the assistant head coach. So it's not like you kept him in case you weren't able to score for a game for some reason.
You should have let Donatel go because that defense was horrible.
Yeah.
And the way you lost those games last year, those 4 losses by more than 20 points.
See, this team's lost this year, but they've been in every game.
Last year, they were blowing out of games.
Yeah, what was it 34-23 against the Lions,
40-3 Cowboys. What was it? Packers
Eagles,
40-something 17-7 or something.
The Eagles game was 38 to 7 or 10 or something like that.
24-7.
Yeah, 24-7. Yeah. So you lost all games by double digits.
Yeah. And then you lose a playoff game to Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
He should not have lasted that long.
I think Bynum has one more year.
Bynum's got one more year.
Yeah, Dylan, no truer words, man.
I couldn't watch it.
And that just proves how good Cousins was last year. He won all those games. He came back in the fourth quarter to put the Vikings up. And then, even after he did, how many times did Patrick Peterson made a play at the end of the game? If it wasn't for Patrick Peterson, who knows how many losses the Vikings had last year? Patrick Peterson made so many plays last year at the end of games. I can see why he left. I bet he probably wishes he was still here with the way this defense is playing. But
where's he? He went to Pittsburgh, right?
He went to Pittsburgh, and he's wearing his cousin's number 20.
Them guys could possibly make the playoffs with Kenny Pickett as a quarterback.
They're 6-3.
Yeah,
but
Kenny Pickett is a quarterback.
Here's the thing, though, they've been outgained every game.
Yeah,
then they've been outscored on almost every game.
What happened to that Steeler running game?
But here's my question: where is the point differential argument this year? Where is they are fraud argument this year? The Pittsburgh Steelers this year or the Vikings of last year, except for it's flipped. They have no offense and defense,
The Steelers got Mike Tomlin as a head coach. There's a difference.
Yeah, but you're still not hearing them called frauds, even though they've been outgained every game and outscored almost.
No,
their
point
differential is like 3.
The thing with the Vikings is last year they came out like a house of fire. They did the same thing that I would get on them. They would come out to a 10-point lead. And then they would disappear for 2 quarters and let the other teams take the lead. And then all of a sudden they're playing catch up. And by chance they win. I mean, how many other teams are going to win games when you get stopped at your 1-yard line and the other team fumbles the ball and you recover it in the end zone? That never happens.
Which goes back to how bad Josh Allen is.
Yeah, which goes back to Josh Allen. How many, a team at the Bears in that first game were threatening, and if Cam Dantzler doesn't snatch away the ball from Marset, we lose that one. If they don't stop Kyler Murray, they lose that one.
The double doink.
Right. The double doink. You lose that one over in London. And not to mention, if Mike Hughes doesn't get burned by KJ Osborne, you lose to the Lions that first game. Not to mention Dan Campbell with his stupid decision making and play calling.
Yeah.
But I mean, this team was lucky to win 13 games last year. But here's another thing too. With a 13-win team, you would expect them to outscore their opponents by a handful of points at least, or quite a few points.
Well, that's because they won every game except for what, 2 by single digits. And then when they lost, they got beaten badly.
Right. But guess what? There's the fraud.
Yeah.
That's the fraud right there. And then you get in the playoffs and you lose to the Giants. Yeah, you're a fraud.
Yeah.
And Daniel Jones led Giants team. Yeah. Get the hell out of here. You're not
Dylan Buffalo was overhyped because of who their head coach is. I assume this you're talking about Colorado. College football, unlike the NFL you can win with scheme a lot of times. College football, it's the Jimmies and the Joes. You can have the best scheme, but if you ain't got the players, you get the players. Colorado just doesn't have the players. They won 3 games last year. They won 1 game last year. They don't have the players.
And here's the thing with that. Most of those Colorado players, once Deion got there, hit the transfer portal.
Yeah. So
yeah, they hit the transfer portal. So and
like the Oregon coach said, we're fighting for wins, they're fighting for clicks.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much what Colorado is. Which Colorado don't care about football. They put less money into their football program than almost any other major Power 5 school.
What conference are they in?
It was the Pac-12. I think it's the Big 12. They went back to the Big 12.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
And that's the thing, Swerve. Most teams like a Colorado, they're not physical at all. They're all about glitz. They're more finesse than anything. The Vikings are kind of a finesse team, but
except for San Francisco.
Well, San Francisco, yeah, but San Francisco has a tendency to be dirty at times. You talking about the Niners?
Yeah, like Niners game. They actually played physical that game.
Yeah, they were physical. They were physical that game, which shocked the hell out of me.
No, but Sarah, basically what I was talking about was they've been outgained every game. And they only win by 2 or 3 points. So their point differential is only like 4 or 5. So that's why I'm saying, they'll lose. They might lose a game this year by double digits, and there'll be negative point differential, and no one will say anything about the point differential.
But like I told people last year with this Viking team, don't look at the wins. Look at the losses.
Yeah.
The losses told you more about this team than the wins did.
No, they don't have a negative point differential, but I looked at the point differential a couple of nights ago, and Steelers are just above the 0. They're like +5, +6, or something like that.
But
they've been outgained, and they've been outgained by yardage every game this year.
But you know what, though? Compared to what we did last year, that's pretty damn good. How many points did we give up last year?
2 million.
Yeah, too many. Yeah, the Vikings defense has been physical too. I'm talking about the offense too, like on the offensive line. They have to be physical at times. They were against the Niners. They were.
So the Vikings point differential last year, they were finished the season -3.
Yeah, and you win 13 games? And you're -3? Just the fact that you win 13 games and you're negative on that side, that's not a good look.
And they've scored 24.9 points per game, and they average giving up 25 points per game.
Last year?
Yeah.
That's Donatel for you.
Yep.
That's Donatel for you.
So
the Vikings won 13 games with a number 1 ranked defense.
Okay. The Steelers do have a negative point differential. The fact that the Steelers are 6-3 is a testament to the team's resiliency and ability to produce big plays when it matters most. At the same time, their winning record almost defies reason, considering they have a minus 26 point differential and are near the bottom league in many of the metrics and have been outgained every game this year.
It's their defense.
They are the 2022 Vikings, but like I said, you don't hear anybody say anything about point. They're negative 26. You don't hear anybody say anything about their point differential and the fact that they're fraud.
Because it's Mike Tomlin.
This article said how resilient they are. The Vikings were resilient last year.
No, the Vikings were lucky.
But they were also resilient coming. The offense was. I said the offense was resilient.
The Vikings also had a new head coach. It's Kevin O'Connell is not Mike Tomlin.
But that should not matter.
It doesn't oppress his eyes.
But I'm saying it should not matter. The Steelers should be looked at this year like the Vikings were looked at last year.
You can't. Here's the thing: you cannot look at an established coach who has won the Super Bowl and basically has a garbage team, and now he's got them playing 6-3. He's going to get more of the benefit of a doubt than a new head coach who came in 13-4. But like I said, the losses were glaring. The losses, he looked like he had been outcoached. And even in the wins, he looked like he was being outcoached. That's the whole thing. And like Swerve said, they gave up 33 points at halftime to a 4-win Colts team with an interim head coach. You can't be considered a serious playoff. You can't be considered a contender and give up 33 points to a team like the Colts last year. You just can't. Any other team, you give up that many points, it's over at halftime.
So the Steelers, that's why I said their offense was resilient last year.
Offensively, defensively was garbage.
But I'm saying, but no one said that about their offense. So the Steelers have lost 30-7, 30-6, 20-10. Those are their 3 losses. That's the Vikings of last year. That is the Vikings of last year.
That's the Vikings of last year.
Their wins: 26-22, 23-18, 17-10, 24-17, 20-16, 23-19. They are last year's Vikings.
They don't, and they're doing that with Kenny Pickett as a quarterback. And I guess the offense coordinator is when they want. Is that Matt Canada who's calling their offense? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, Vikings, it was their defense that was horrible. For this team, it's their offense. They are the exact same team, but yet you don't hear none of the negatory.
You're not going to hear it because of who their head coach is. That's what I'm telling you. You're not going to. What you just said. Yeah, they are. But guess who they don't have? A first-year coach. They have a Super Bowl winning coach running their team. So guess what? That narrative will always change if you're head coach. Your head coach, put it this way, Tomlin's going to be considered a genius for doing what he's doing with his team.
But why wasn't KOC?
Genius at what?
But what I'm saying, because they're doing all the arguments you're making for the head coach of the Steelers, except for the longevity winning Super Bowl, could have been made for KOC. Despite how bad that defense is, look how look how they overcame. Look what they did with a point differential.
But the thing with KOC was, here's the thing with KOC. KOC came in, they beat the Packers handily, but he's mad at America now that he's moved from the booth to the field.
That's a good one, Dylan. Oh man.
But I mean, KOC, he had those lulls, but like before, when it came to the Vikings being fraudulent, as what the national media was saying, it wasn't how they won the games is one thing. Like I said before, how they lost told the real story.
Right, which is the same way the Steelers are losing.
No, the Steelers are actually, they are, but they aren't. And Tomlin's a defensive guy.
So 30-7.
Yeah. Who beat them 30-7?
San Fran. So
okay,
Dallas.
That was San Fran. Next.
But Minnesota lost to Dallas 40-3.
We lost to Dallas 40-3. We lost to the Packers what?
Okay. They lost to the Houston Texans 30-6.
Yeah, Houston's a good team.
And then they lost to Jacksonville 20-10.
Yeah, they lost to Jacksonville at home, right? In the rain.
Yes. Yes, they lost at home. They played 3 straight home games. And the first one was against Jacksonville. They lost that one. And then they lost at home to San Fran.
Mm-hmm.
And they lost in Houston.
And they still got, they're 6-3. They still got some, but they're not even leading their division. That's a sad thing.
They're third in their division right now.
Yeah. I mean,
well,
Cleveland exactly isn't setting the world on fire either.
So, yeah, but Cleveland doesn't have a negative differential, though. Cleveland's got the best defense. Cleveland's defense is number 1 in the NFL.
Damn it. They got a defense. They ain't got no damn offense now.
That's what I'm saying. That's the point is, yes, they have a Hall of Fame head coach. They have a Super Bowl winning head coach. But that shouldn't mean that just because they have him as a head coach that the narrative should change.
It's going to.
They're a fraudulent
that.
6-3 team.
It's going to change. You're fraudulent. I mean, put it this way. The reason they're not fraudulent is because of Mike Tomlin. Because as a head coach.
Good night, Frozen. Appreciate you all the time, buddy.
Night, Frozen. As a head coach, you expect him to work with put together what he doesn't have. He's been there, done that. You expect him to get the most of what he has, even if it's negative. But KLC was brand new last year, so you don't know how he was going to take it. And he had JJ, and he had, it was his first year, and he had his lulls. He did. I mean, we were winning every game by at least 10 points, and somehow we're losing. We're losing through 2 quarters. He disappears. Oh,
yeah.
Or Frozen North is staying with us. We're stuck with him.
Well, no, Frozen North was the only one watching on my channel. I think that's what he was asking in the chat.
Right.
I think that's why he didn't want to leave.
But so it's and it's through different eyes and through like media eyes, put it like that. Tomlin's always going to get the benefit of the doubt. KLC will probably start getting it now because he's actually what KLC is doing right now is coach of the year stuff. He's actually proven that he's working with, and this is what his second.
Yeah, if y'all can just go over to my channel and give me a like, I'd appreciate that too.
Yeah. So KLC is a coach of the year honor, but
I don't think he's going to get it though. I think DeMarco Ryans is.
I don't think Ryans will get it, and I give Ryans a lot of credit.
He deserves it. What he's done with that
deserves
Texas
it.
team, he deserves it.
But for Brian Flores to do what he's done with the defense,
assistant coach of the year,
you cannot pass that up. That's why I keep saying he's probably he'll at least get interviewed for head coaching jobs. If he gets them, hard to say because there's a lot of politics involved with that. So, but he's gonna get interviews as he should. Now, who they hire after him, if they interview him and they go in another direction, then there's gonna be backlash.
If you guys didn't hear about JJ, Cam Bynum reached out to him to do something very special for Cam Bynum in the Philippines. So congratulations, JJ.
Oh, there you go. Congrats.
So, yeah, I mean, this, like I said, Sarah's right. Let's see. They don't show up to the fourth quarter.
Yeah, who does that sound like? Who does that sound like last year?
Exactly. Thank you, Frozen. I appreciate it, buddy. He should get coach of the year if we win the division. He's not going to get coach of the year, Sarah. Ryans is pretty much.
D'Amico Ryans has got that locked up.
Yeah, I mean, they could lose the rest of the games and he'd still win coach of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, Swerve, he does. B-Flow does still have the lawsuit, But that lawsuit, I mean, put it this way, that lawsuit could disappear if he gets a head coaching job.
Yeah,
That lawsuit could disappear. And the NFL would prefer that it disappears because they've got enough problems with John Gruden's lawsuit.
yeah.
And they don't need to put any more negative light on their product. So there's going to be some things that are going to change.
Well, Sarah, the reason we say that was because even though the Vikings have gone through what they've gone through, the Texans were picked to pretty much be the worst team in the AFC. They were picked to be the top 3 pick, all that, and they're a playoff team right now. So that's why we're saying Ryans has got elected. KOC should
Ryan's going to
finish
get
second.
it, yeah.
KOC should finish second.
Yep.
If Ryans wasn't doing as well as he was with the Texans, then yes, KOC.
You know what though? You know who?
We're not talking about us there. We're talking about how the media.
This is national. How the national media sees it.
Yeah.
Here's the thing too. KOC could get screwed even more because they could probably give that damn second place to friggin' Dan Campbell in Detroit. So, oh, there you go, JJ.
Yeah. Yeah. Congratulations, buddy.
So, you don't have a link, do you?
Yeah, JJ, drop your link in the chat. He's got a channel. I don't have his link, but Joe, go ahead. JJ, go ahead and drop your link in the channel. Everybody in the channel, which I think most people who are in here probably already are. But if you're not, go ahead and hit him, give him a like, give him a subscribe. He's only 13 years old and he is slaying it. That's why we have to watch our language when he's in here. Yeah. So.
God, I hope it doesn't go to Dan Campbell. I hope it doesn't.
Oh, JJ, Sarah is pretty much on our post-game show every week. She's pretty much become a pseudo co-host of our post-game show on Sundays. So, CJJ, where Hicks is going to be a big loss. Still no number 18. We don't know about 18. He could play. He's questionable.
I don't think he plays. I wouldn't play him.
They said it's up to him. They said it's up to him. So
yeah, and you know what? That could be a mistake. Don't play him. Shut him down to the bye. You're going to need him down to
They
stretch.
can't because if he doesn't get activated in the next 21 days, he goes permanent IR.
He's not. Oh, he's on IR. That's right.
So he was on IR. So if he doesn't go active next 21 days, he goes permanent.
They can still take him off IR and not play him.
No. Oh yeah, they can do that.
Yeah, you take him off of IR, but you can still put him on the inactive list.
No, I don't think Dan Campbell gets coach of the year because they were expected to be good.
No, it's going to be D'Amico.
Yeah.
And if you talk about a coach who's doing a lot with very little, it's D'Amico.
Yeah. And KOC should be second because how many teams would go on a five-game winning streak with losing your starting quarterback for 2 of those games, your number 1 receiver for 3 of those games?
Who got coach of the year last year?
KOC got robbed last year. Dable, Giants coach.
What? You know why? Because he's New York.
Because he's in New York.
He's in New York. He sucks.
Well, Sarah, you knew he wasn't going to get coach of the year with them calling the Vikings frauds.
Yeah.
Even though they're in the same situation as the Steelers this year. And I wouldn't be surprised if Tomlin gets coach of the year votes.
No, it's a possibility depending on what he does with the Steelers. Now the AFC North is wide open. So with Burrow down.
Burrow being down, I think Baltimore is a clear favorite because they're the only team that's healthy.
Yeah.
And good which is
weird. By the way, I got to say something about that whole hip tackle thing. Okay, NFL, here's the deal. If you take away that tackle, you don't have much left for defensive players to bring offensive players down in a way that they're not going to get flagged. So guess what? It's a tackle. They've been tackling like that for years. Okay? Some people get hurt, some people don't. Stop taking the game out of the defense's hands.
It's going to be called the NFL League in about 10
and
years.
I will not be watching it. I will not be watching it. As a former defensive player,
it's going to be called the National Football Flag League.
and played in the day when you ran across the middle, somebody was going to knock you out
And this
and
is
knock
started.
you flag for it.
And this is started in college. I saw a play where the quarterback went back to pass. The defensive back lowered his head, right? The defensive
Mhm.
player lowered his head to make sure that he hit the quarterback in the chest. Well, as he was going in for the hit, the quarterback slid a half an inch over. So by the quarterback sliding a half an inch over, the crown of his helmet ended up hitting the quarterback in the stomach. And they called roughing the passer, they called targeting, and the player got ejected.
And that's okay. Plug yours, JJ. That's bullshit.
So the guy's like, I can't remember who the commentator was. I think he was an offensive lineman. He's like, I don't get it. He's like, I'm not a defensive guy, but how in the hell do you expect these guys to hit the quarterback?
Here's the thing.
Defensive player did everything right not to get a roughing the passer call, but because the quarterback made a move at the last second, he moved over a quarter to a half of an inch, you flag it. And then you go upstairs and you back it up. What the heck are the defensive players supposed to do? You might as well put flags.
You can't. You know what you now are. You know what defensive players now are. They're just aesthetics for offensive highlight reels. That's all they are. You can't play defense no more. They've made it to the point. It's quickly become the NBA, and it is. As a person who watched real football and played real football, I can't support that. I just
the NFFL.
Yeah,
two Fs, National Flag Football League.
Yeah, there's too much analytics in football. Too much analytics. It's all about numbers. And now they're trying science and the NFL's promoting this with their commercials and all that, making the game safe and blah, 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 blah. Well, guess what? Now you've made the game, you've taken away from what was the game.
Yeah, and this is true, Sarah. How many times did Kirk Cousins get a hand to his face mask or his head hit when he threw the ball or hit below the knees like the Tom Brady hit and nothing?
And he's not going to get those calls.
And last week, Danielle Hunter gets his helmet taken off. Yes, he did have his hand on the offensive player's helmet, but the defensive player also had.
Yeah, but did that offensive player lose his helmet? No.
No, but what I'm saying is, in that situation, at best, it's a no call.
It should have been a no call.
Yeah.
It should have been a no call.
People say, well, he got a sack the next game. Well, here's why it mattered, because that was a third down play.
That was a third down play. They should have been 3 and out.
Yes.
But here's the thing, too. This all comes back to the NFL in bed with gambling.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are. Thank you, JJ. They are. The NFL is corrupt. Ever since they've gotten bed, most of your sports now is corrupt because now they're letting it be known that they're in bed with gambling. So guess what? If you're in college, to a point, has always been corrupt. Always. So then, and Frozen, it is blurry. You can't define a tackle. They're trying to define a tackle. They can't define what a damn completed pass is.
Yeah.
They can't. They still don't know what a pass completion is.
But I understand teaching the old way of tackling. I understand that with your head down, because I was taught keep your head down. But now that turned out not to be. You can actually hurt your neck by doing that. You got to keep your head up, which I don't know how keeping your head up and your neck bent like this, getting hit like that is safer.
Because here's the thing.
But
they teach you to keep your head up now. They're trying to take the head out of the game. But to that, I say, okay, guess what? What are you going to do about the offensive line? Because they're still butting heads as soon as that ball is snapped.
And both you and I both played defensive tackle.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a car wreck pretty much every play.
You know what, though? I'm going to be honest. I loved it.
Oh, so yeah, so did I.
I loved it.
I loved getting hit. That's why, like my nephew, he played football for about 3 games, and he's like, I don't like getting hit. I go, hey, football is not for everybody. You have to enjoy.
No, it's not. And here's the thing with a lot of
plus he's 6'8" and loves basketball, so
And like I tell people, the NFL is full of a bunch of wannabe NBA players.
They all want to be NBA players. They all
want to be NBA players. The only problem is half of them weigh 320 pounds and have a terrible jumper. So guess what? They ain't playing in the NBA. But yeah, they want to be NBA players, and you can tell that influence. It's It's a soft league. It's a soft league. And depending on, it's like now with, I could say the same thing. What's happened in the game I used to love since I was 5. But I got a lot more years on JJ, so
that's why it's hilarious. He's the old man sitting. He's the old man sitting on the couch. Back in my day, he's only 13. Oh, JJ, you're hilarious, buddy.
Yep. Well, and here's the thing too. They talk about player safety, but they're not doing anything about the playing surface with the turf. They're not doing anything with this new artificial turf, which has caused more injuries than a lot of these hits.
Yeah, and that's the thing, JJ. They sit there and cry and be home, player safety, player safety, player safety. But they don't really care about player safety.
Here's the thing. They'll say what they need to say for marketing. Behind the scenes,
So they don't get sued.
behind the scenes, they know damn well they got a draft every year. They got free agents every year. Out with the old, in with the new. If it's cost cutting or anything, these owners have less loyalty now to these players than ever before. They will remind you at every chance they get, it's a business, and they will treat it like a business. We've seen it with the Vikings.
What up, Garrett? What up, Eric? Appreciate you joining in.
Oh, what's up, Eric? So I mean, it's like these owners are all in cahoots. These owners have made those same hits, and the league is another thing too. As much money as they talk about making the game safe and all that shit, how much money did this league make on videos of the hardest hits ever made?
Yeah.
How much money did they make on it? What's up, Zoe? So I mean,
Lions gonna win. I had to. Yeah. But that whole argument about they need to get rid of turf because of Aaron Rodgers' injury. Well, Cousins got hurt on grass.
a lot of players got hurt on grass.
So I don't know. I mean, grass is always better.
But if you think about the high-profile players have got hurt on turf, Odell Beckham Jr., a couple of others. Odell, all he did was run across the middle of the Super Bowl and tore up his knee.
I wouldn't say he's high profile.
He's Odell Beckham Jr. He is high profile.
Mm.
They're still showing his catch from years ago when he was with the Giants at one-handed catch.
Well, one great catch don't make you I mean,
he's
David
high profile.
David Tyree had a hell of a catch in Super Bowl. He's not high profile.
Yeah, he's also you don't see that highlight at all. But with Beckham, he's a new generation, so yeah, they hype him.
Yeah, Julio Jones couldn't find the end zone.
Don't talk about Julio Jones. That was my girl's guy.
He could not.
Do not talk about Julio Jones.
He could not find the end zone.
Or Roddy White. Do not talk about either one of those guys.
Well, Roddy White was the man. I like Roddy White. But
Yeah.
Julio Jones couldn't find the end zone.
He found it enough. He did find it a lot with Matt Ryan.
I
And
think
so at the
JJ's
end-
got more. I
at
think
the end,
JJ
he
has
just
more
wasn't.
touchdowns than he does.
Who?
I think JJ has more touchdowns than he does.
This early?
Let's see. Let's see. So how many touchdowns does Julio Jones have? Let's see. Let's see. Oh, I forgot he played for the team.
Yeah, he was with the Buccaneers for a minute too.
In 2 games for the Eagles so far
Yeah.
this year. He's with the Eagles? Wow.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he only has 64 touchdowns. He's only had 1 season with double-digit touchdowns.
He had how many touchdowns altogether?
He only has 64.
Okay.
I don't. Justin Jefferson may not have more, but he's got it close. Jefferson already has half,
Mm-hmm.
in 4 seasons.
Hey, do me a favor.
I like Julio Jones. Don't get me wrong, but he just couldn't find a touchdown.
Pull up JJ's comment. They'll never shut the league down, JJ. There's too much money being made.
Well, players have died in baseball. They didn't shut the league down.
Players. The only player that actually died on the football field in a game was Chuck Hughes in 1971, but he had a he had a heart attack on the field.
Right.
It wasn't from a hit. It wasn't from nothing. He had a heart attack and he died.
But 20s and 30s, some players died, but yeah.
Yeah, and that was in a practice or at home.
Well, Corey Stringer died in practice.
Corey Stringer was a practice. Yeah, that was heat exhaustion.
And baseball players have died on the field. Basketball players have died on the court. Hockey players, one just died recently.
Yeah,
which in hockey, I'm surprised it doesn't happen more.
And the North Stars had a player that died on the ice. There's an award named after him, but he died on the ice. But that was in the 60s. But there's too much money being made, and so
that opens the door for the Vikings to sign Akeem Hicks.
But I want to bring that up. Akeem Hicks' name has come up in Miami.
There you go, Yogi. Vikings are going to sign.
Yeah, he's going to Miami, Yogi. Buy me my pizza. You owe me a pizza. 2
large. Pepperoni.
Yes. Large sausage and pepperoni with green olive. Yeah, players have mostly been in. High school, college. Stringer was a practice. JV Kane with the Cardinals was a practice. So it's gonna happen. But yeah, the game will never. The game will never go anywhere. There's too much money involved. And also, there's a lot of politics. There's a lot of politics.
There's a lot of politics in the football. Coaches keep getting hired.
And I'll tell you what,
players don't play.
When you think about it, the good old boys club of NFL owners are all connected to somebody in power. Many of them are connected. So yeah, Ditter, he made him head coach because he narked on Denny Green. That's how we got the head coaching job, because Denny Green and Red McCombs stopped talking. So McCombs gave him the head coaching gig because of that. Yeah, and KJ, that hit he took, which, let's be honest, if this was 20, 30 years ago, those hits happened all the time. Those were common hits. First of all, you didn't have receivers go across the middle. That was always the tight end, because they could take the hits.
Yeah.
Receivers very seldom went across the middle.
You know what the weird thing is about playing football is sometimes the hits that look the worst don't even hurt.
Oh, I've seen, case in point, Mike Utley with the Lions. He was a lineman. He got paralyzed in a game, and it looked like all he did was back up, make a block, and next thing you know, he goes down with a broken neck.
Yeah.
It didn't look like, anything. But it does happen. Hamlin, DeMar Hamlin last year. He was standing up, and he fell and he collapsed. No, Sarah, I don't know if he got fined or not. I didn't hear anything about it. He got flagged. I don't know if he got fined.
I haven't seen anything on YouTube. Usually when I haven't seen anything from the Saints commentators or anything like that about him getting fined. So
that was a Falcon game. I didn't hear anything.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't hear anything, so I don't think he got fined.
Falcons games. I was looking at Saints.
They already, who was it? The linebacker in Houston that got suspended for supposed to be 3 games. They dropped it to 2 games. But he got suspended because of the hits. He's been fined for excessive hits 3 games in a row. I forget his name.
Over receiver.
No, it was a Texans defender.
Okay, so yeah, I'm looking at fines for the Falcons.
Kareem
And-
Jackson. Yeah, that's who it was.
The Broncos defensive back. Yeah. I'm looking at Falcons fines for the seasons.
Mm-hmm.
It does not look like
He wasn't
fines
fined.
for the KJ Osborne hit.
Yep, he wasn't fined.
They were fined against the week before against Tennessee. They were fined, but they were not fined for the Osborne hit. So, which is ridiculous. So,
Yep.
But that Kareem Jackson hit was not any worse. But I think
No.
the player history, kind of like what was that guy who always got fined even when he made a clean hit to the safety? Gosh. There was a safety in the NFL about 10 years ago. Even when he made a clean hit, he got fined just because of his reputation.
Besides Ed Reed?
It was not Ed Reed. It was somebody else.
Chancellor did.
But there was a guy in the NFL who was a safety. He got
You thinking of Cam Chancellor?
no. What's his name? No, Perfect. Vontez Perfect would make.
He's a
clean hit.
linebacker.
Yeah, he's a linebacker. He'd make a clean hit, but because his name was Vontez Perfect, he'd get fined.
Well, he already had that reputation.
Yeah. So I think
Yep.
Kareem Jackson's got that same reputation.
Here's the thing: if you want these guys, these guys are defensive players. Let them earn their money. Let them do their job. It's you.
Bob Sanders was another one who got fined for clean hits.
Yeah.
Oh God, my cold's coming back. They're called the Dirty Birds for a reason. That whole '98 thing. I don't know, JJ. You weren't around for that, but 1998, and this goes back to 2000 and was it so this goes back to the 2009 season. I think it was when they beat the Cowboys in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And they ran the score up, and Keith Brooking was the main linebacker complaining for Dallas Cowboys. Oh, you have some respect, whatever. Well, in 1998, Keith Brooking went to every section of the Metrodome and did the Dirty Bird dance in front of all the Vikings fans. So you can take your respect and shove it up your ass. So that's why they're called the Dirty Birds, but they're not as dirty as the Saints, though.
No, the Saints are dirty as hell.
Yeah.
And Sean Payton knew it.
Yeah, if that hit was on JJ, he definitely would have been a fine. But KJ is a third receiver for a team that no one really cares about. Hell, Kirk Cousins doesn't even get fined for you hit Mahomes anywhere, you get fined. Cousins gets punched in the face and no call. So, all right. So we think. So, do we think the Packers or Lions are finishing last in the division?
I would like to see the Packers finish last, but it'll probably be the Bears.
Yeah, because we looked at their roster earlier. We only see maybe 1, 2 at the most wins.
And the Bears also now, it also comes down to who's going to mail it in first, the Bears or the Packers.
And then the Packers probably 3 more wins, I think we said.
Maybe 3.
Yeah.
Maybe 3.
And if that happens,
they're not beating the Vikings, put it that way.
yeah.
The Bears aren't beating the Vikings either.
I don't know if it happens so much nowadays, but it definitely happened.
It happened.
In
You
09.
know what? Now, because the way those old school coaches are gone, so you've got a new era of coaches that aren't like that. But them old school coaches, hell yeah. I mean, you had in certain locker rooms, you had players earn money for hard hits or if they knock somebody out. That's all true.
Yep.
That is all true.
They
got
got
bonuses. The players would pool their money together and whoever did whatever got the pot. But yeah, it's just it's a different game now. It's a softer game. I'm just gonna put it out there. It's not the football that any of us grew up with, including you, JJ. Including you.
Back when he was 6.
Yep. But yeah. And Sarah, yes, the Saints were because they knew Hawkinson's ribs were bad. That's just
But-
common.
That's just what you do, though.
Yeah, that's just what you do. I mean, as a defensive player, if I knew a player had an ailment, I'm going after that injury. That's just what you do. That's just as a defensive player, you do that.
A quarterback's got a bump ankle. You get get around his leg. You twist it a little bit more than what you normally.
He's got a bad knee. I'm going for that. I'm going for that leg.
Yeah.
Ankle. I'm going for the ankle. That's just
Yeah.
the way it is. You know.
Yeah, Rodney Harrison. He was one. He was definitely one.
Oh, he was definitely one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he was definitely one.
Joey Browner was one too, unfortunately. But although Joey Browner couldn't play today.
No. And all the guys we got, the Browner, Millard, Dolman, even before Dick Butkus could not play today. Jack Lambert could not play in today's NFL. Hell, Ray Lewis could not play in today's NFL. Singletary. None of those guys could. The guys the defensive players that are the legends, that are the standard bearers for NFL football.
Deion can play today.
It's because Deion's a pussy, never hit anybody. All he wanted to do was dance.
He was fast enough to catch people from behind and push them out of bounds.
Right.
That's pretty much what.
Now, if you ask
that
my
was a
girl,
Deion tackle.
If you bring up my girl to Deion Sanders, she hates Deion Sanders. And she's a Falcons person, but she hates Deion Sanders.
He actually came to my high school. Him and Otis Nixon. Our principal brought him in to do a chat, and there was an answer a question, and of course this was Deion was still, and it was Deion's like, any guy can have a kid, but it takes like a man to raise a child. I remember that from that press conference, from that get together.
Hey, so, Frozen North, LT would be suspended for some of the hits he put on.
He'd be suspended. He'd come back and they get immediately suspended again.
Yep. And then they would suspend him again for failed drug test.
Yes. Yeah, because he wasn't doing weed like everybody else is doing.
Right. Yeah. Okay, Sarah, that's a good question. I got to be honest because Sarah's got a very good question. Yes, he would.
Yeah.
Him and Deacon Jones both. Deacon Jones especially.
Is the reason why the head slapped out of the league.
Yeah. Deion, you know what? I don't think Deion was really injured. I think Deion just did not want to go up against Randy Moss because he went up against Randy Moss the next year in the playoffs, and Randy embarrassed him.
Yeah, Randy cooked him.
Yep.
Because that's all Cowboys. That's why all Cowboys fans say. Oh, if Deion played that game, Deion played. No,
Deion did not play that game.
No, they're saying if Deion played that game.
No, if Deion played that game, you still get the same highlight because Randy was going to ball out.
Yeah, he was pissed.
Yeah, Randy was going to ball out.
That just proved when Randy was motivated, how deadly he was. He wasn't motivated all the time.
Wasn't motivated, but he was motivated.
When you're that damn talented, you ain't got to be motivated all the time.
Yeah. Oh, Swerve, any player that played in that era of football defensively, none of those Raider players could play in this NFL. None of them.
No.
Not a one. Atkinson, Tatum, Sistrunk, Matuzak, none of them. Villapiano, none of them. Willie Hall was another good one. None of those guys could. Ben Davidson, no.
Mark Gastineau.
Gastineau couldn't.
Reggie White couldn't even play. He'd
Reggie
get penalized.
Reggie was just a technician of a pass rush.
Reggie White would get penalized for his club move that he did.
It's just what they've done to the game now. It just those of us that were fortunate to see great defense, consider yourselves lucky because those days are gone. Dominant defenses are gone. I think Seattle might have been the last one.
Montel Williams. There's so many Montel Williams out there. You got to specify that one.
The talk show host. He was a talk show host.
Well, because this has got that one guy. This is how we do.
That's Montel Jordan.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh God, too evil. Oh, no way JJ gets traded unless he becomes
committed. He's committed to his stick. I got to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No. JJ doesn't get traded. It's Sarah.
So I mean, it's as far as a bottom, as far as a bottle of the division goes. I hope it's the Packers, but it'll probably be the Bears.
I think there's going to be a big gap. I think the Lions and I think the Bears and the Packers will be maybe a game apart, 2 games at the most. But then there's going to be a huge gap between the second and third place team.
Yeah, there already is.
You know,
There already is.
So-
I'll tell you what, both Minnesota and Detroit will probably have double-digit wins.
yeah.
So it just comes down to, and as a Viking fan, we all know you have that game where it's not a trap game, but they have that game where it's like they don't play their game. And it cost us. You lose that one game that you think you're going to win and you don't. Now, that's what it was back in the day. Maybe it's different with KOC. Maybe KOC keeps these guys on an even keel now that, I'll tell you what, when you're winning, it's addictive. It is. It's a momentum changer. Changes everything. So they could. I still think they could run the table.
Hell no, too evil. Hell no. If Call of Duty wasn't bad this year, Kyler Murray wouldn't be playing.
Exactly. Exactly.
All right. So, and then, so comments in the chat. I want to know what you guys think. Do the Vikings catch the Lions for first place? I know Too Evil wants to tank. That's already done over with. That's not going to happen. They've already won too many games. So even if they lost the rest of the games, they already got 6 wins. So that's like a 19. That's around 18, 19. So do you guys think the Vikings will catch the Lions? That's the question.
I already said yes.
Do you
JJ
think
says the Vikings could catch the
Do
Lions.
you think they will?
It's a very big possibility. It's a very big possibility. I mean, the Lions don't impress anybody. At least those Viking fans. They don't.
So you're saying we catch the Lions but lose the last game of the year?
Can we just ignore Too Evil for tonight? I've had enough of him. My God.
Where's the mute button? That's kidding.
JJ. Nice name, though.
Yeah. Well, they are going to get healthy, but they will not get their quarterback back. I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing. Some people say it's a good thing. Some people say it's a bad thing. I don't know, but they'll never be fully healthy. And no team is fully healthy at this point in the season.
Well, but here's another thing, too, now. Defenses, no matter who you are, you have to look at the Vikings and realize they have a mobile quarterback.
Yeah.
So, and this is where I said with KOC, and I think with KOC's offense, you have to have a mobile quarterback. He wants a mobile quarterback to run it. That's where Dobbs comes in. I think with KOC, he kind of had to dumb down the playbook because there are certain plays that Kirk can't run, but he still would try to run them. With a mobile quarterback, whether it be Dobbs or Hall or any other mobile quarterback, he can now open up that playbook. And Dobbs is smart. Let's give Dobbs credit. He's a smart guy.
He's smarter than all of us put together in the room.
He's smarter than all of us in this room. So, I don't
care how smart you are in the comments. He's smarter than us.
Yeah.
He graduated with honors.
Yep. The guy's a rocket scientist, literally a rocket scientist.
Yeah.
So you think running a damn football offense is going to be difficult to him? No, it's not. It's not. Yeah. So, I mean, and he's probably settled down now. And I'll tell you what, you're going to have that dynamic where he's a different type of quarterback. He's a mobile quarterback. He's a younger quarterback. So, it could be, you never know.
So Dylan doesn't think they're going to catch him, which I mean, technically, it is.
Well, technically, David, I'm still not. His play calling still kind of leaves a little bit for me to be desired, but so
The Vikings set for best of 3 no matter what. Win the last one. That's all I want. I mean, yeah, if they play in the playoffs, yeah.
They sweep the Lions. I say they sweep the Lions. The Vikings could sweep their division. They really could.
Well, they're definitely. I think at the most they have 1 loss.
So they'll be 5-1.
Yeah.
But only one
So
of those
with the
losses.
Lions.
And the Lions will be 5-1. Then they'll go head to head, which
Yeah.
then you have to go conference. It kind of.
They're going to be the last game of the year. It's going to be the deciding factor. And watch them tie.
Oh God, that would be perfect. That would be such a damn NFC Central.
And then they'll
North
go to
thing.
common opponents, which would be the AFC North, AFC West, and I think they would have the advantage there.
Yeah,
because they beat the Chargers and the Chiefs. We lost to the Chiefs and Chargers, so it's going to be hard to do it. But I think.
Okay, Ditter, I got to disagree with you. I'm extending Hunter.
I didn't see that. Coach of the year. Well, yeah, David has been. He's one of those everything's Kurt's fault. So I'm not surprised.
I'm actually one of those everything's Kurt's fault. I had to be nice to Cousins before he got hurt. So,
but no, I'm talking about the playoff game. The defense was the reason they lost that playoff game, not the third
and Kirk
on 4th and 8.
And Kirk.
Well, see, that's where I disagree. He made that one bad play on 4th and 8, but he kept him in.
He didn't exactly play well that whole game.
No, but he kept him in it. If he would have played well, if he would have played great, I don't know if they would have.
Well, and here's the thing though too. You have to go with Kirk Cousins' motto. He's a great come from behind player.
Well, he had to be last year.
Yeah, he's not. But most of his numbers have always been when he's never had a lead. They've always been when he's behind.
Yeah. Oh no, like I said, I know what Kirk is, but and I've said that to you before. You know that, but I don't think everything is his fault.
But here's too evil. Here's the thing with Hunter. Hunter's already on the books next year for $20 million.
Yeah,
whether he goes to another team. So he's on the book for 20. Cousins is on the book for 28. So that's a lot of money. That's like $48 million going out the window.
And
going to another team.
That would be the most Lions move ever. Them losing to the Bears. Them losing to the Bears would be the most Lions thing ever.
Where's that game at Sunday?
Not sure. I don't think it matters though, does it?
I'm just curious.
I'm sure someone. I'd have to bring it up.
Hold on, I'm gonna bring it up now. See if I can find it.
It's at Detroit.
Oh, it's indoors. Never mind.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. I think with the season Daniil's having, they can't franchise him because it's in his contract.
Daniil's not 30, David.
Yeah, he's not 30.
He's not 30. And some team is going to overpay for Wanham. But honestly, Wanham's not very good against the run. That's another thing. He's a good pass rusher. He's just not very good against the run.
He's 29.
Oh, he's 29, yeah.
But he just turned 29.
Okay. Yeah, he's not going anywhere.
Yeah, he just turned 29 October 29.
Can we please mute Too Evil?
No, he's not 39 and a half. He just turned 39 in October.
Swerve, Pat Jones is getting reps. He is playing.
Yeah. He hasn't done much. He hasn't flashed, but he
hasn't flashed, but he is playing. He is out there. He's actually playing a lot, to be honest. He's playing quite a bit.
Well, the problem with the second half was the KOC got conservative.
And here's the thing.
He even said it in the post-game conference.
Yeah, and that's the thing. He can't do that. You cannot do that. You've got to keep your foot on the gas. And plus, he should have challenged that Dobbs dive for that first down run he had that they called short. He should have challenged it. He would have won. and he didn't do that. So,
Well, going back to Evil, a lot of players hit 29, 30, 31. A lot of that's their prime years for
that's the prime years.
Yeah.
That's the prime years.
So I think
Davenport.
we're not saying long-term sign Daniil Hunter. We're saying like 3-year contract Daniil Hunter.
Well, here's another thing too. Now people bring up Davenport because Too Evil brought up Davenport. Davenport is on the hook next year for money.
Yep, $12 million. Yeah, Frozen, I misspoke. He's 29.
Yeah. I mean, he's just, it's like we've got a lot of money on the books. You know, it just, oh, yeah, okay, Too Evil. Yeah, right. You got about as good a chance of getting in a Viking meeting as I do.
And Tony knows people.
And I know people.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, this game scares me, and for some reason, the last game of the season scares me because I got a feeling that if the Vikings and Lions are tied for the division, the NFL
Check.
gonna
Here's what
make
you
sure.
do. Check what's going on in Vegas. That would be a barometer right there as to how this game could go back and forth. If there's a lot of money on Denver, Denver's probably going to win it, and the refs are going to help.
Denver's favored.
Yeah. So Denver's probably going to win it. In the end, and the refs will help them. They'll find a way to help them. That last game of the year, depending on how it goes.
Well, if the Vikings lose Sunday, the last game of the year, it's not going to matter.
Yeah, well.
Because I don't think Detroit's going to lose enough games for it to matter.
Yeah, they will. Trust me, they will. How many years have we watched the Lions?
I know, but they only have 2 losses.
It doesn't matter. They've went into stretches before at this time of year with like 2-3 losses, end up losing 4 or 5 straight. They fall apart. And until the Lions can prove they're not the Lions, I'm going with the Vikings are still going to win this division. The Lions have to prove they're not the Lions. And until they do that, then I will. Then I'll give them their props.
Well, KOC was conservative with Cousins as his quarterback. So it's not
Oh, by the way, David, you're right. Yeah, Joseph's got to go. Kickers are a dime a dozen, and we keep that idiot. I don't know why.
Well, like I said, kickers miss. They're not perfect. It's when you miss that matters. So
Yeah, but every damn game.
no, he was perfect up until last week.
And that's another thing too. I think KOC puts too much confidence in him, and look what happened. You can make a 61-yarder, but you can't make a 54-yarder?
Well, it's like golf. You hit the ball perfect sometimes, and sometimes you shank it.
Well, guess what? I don't consider golfers athletes or
Well, no,
kickers.
But it's not easy kicking, is all I'm saying. And yes, you can't expect to be perfect.
Okay, you know what's not easy? Trying to move around a 300-pound guard.
I'm not saying that our job is not harder than a kicker's job. I'm just saying you can't expect kickers to be perfect.
Okay, the kicker's got one job.
Well, not even Justin Tucker is perfect, and he's considered the best kicker of all time.
I'd rather have Justin Tucker than Greg Joseph.
Well,
I'd actually rather have Fred Cox than Greg Joseph. At least I know Cox can make a 30-yard field goal.
Not after that Super Bowl conversation we had. I don't want Fred Cox anywhere near this team. That would be sweet, David.
Chandler could be the wild card.
I don't know if KOC's got enough confidence in him, though.
Well, and here's the thing. KLC's got to have confidence in the running game. He's got to stick with it.
Well, you're going to hit that too, Evil.
Yep.
You're definitely going to get that $50. Because they're not going to lose the rest of the games.
Who, the Vikings?
Yeah.
I think the Vikings run the table.
So,
yeah, I think they run the table, including beating Detroit twice. I've said it.
JJ, that could be true because even the year that Gary Anderson was perfect, he picked the worst time.
He made the worst kick. We haven't had a really good kicker. Well, Ryan Longwell was pretty good.
The assassin was pretty good. The only kicker to ever
Quad?
The only kicker ever did his career by hitting somebody too hard.
Yeah, the only kicker I've ever known to actually get an unsportsmanlike conduct call for making a tackle.
If
I'm
you
like,
guys ever get a chance, it might be on YouTube. I don't know. But if you guys ever get a chance to go Fod Reve's hit, it's on there. It's funny.
actually, JJ, they make it look easy, but it's not that hard. I mean, years ago, before the NFL became such a specialized league, you actually had like offensive linemen and running backs kicking field goals. They weren't kicking, some would kick 50 yarders, some wouldn't, but you didn't have like these kickers come out of nowhere and all they do is kick a football and do something. I mean,
yeah,
and
you
these
want some
guys played
cocaine?
during. Oh God, yeah. If you
You
were
want some
looking to
coke?
score some coke, yeah, Donald was your dude. Donald was your dude.
Eat wave,
Yep.
eat wave. Those who don't know how to say
He
that.
could get you a kilo just like that.
Yeah.
Might not be high quality, but it's a kilo.
Oh no, he started it in Tampa, so you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
guys, what a.
And
God,
we signed him, and then that's how Revea's got the gig.
I just had an idea, Tony.
Hmm.
There's on vintage.
The blotter report.
God. Oh man.
You know, we could do a show on it because I live here in the Twin Cities, so I still remember a lot of the stories
Yeah.
of blotter reports for the Vikings. I mean, there's a
So-
lot of them.
Speaking of blotter report, we did Vikings vintage, the Love Boat episode 2 weeks ago. Go look at the page history and look it up. You'll enjoy it. Fantastic show. You know, taking a walk through the okra patch. That's all I'm going to leave it. That's all I'm going to say.
I'm surprised that issue didn't get us kicked off of YouTube.
Well, that's why I didn't say the full word. That's why I was saying SA as opposed to the full word. You know.
Yeah.
Well, they're here for you, Tony.
Yeah, we're gonna have to cut this short.
Open up.
And you know what? You'll see it all live on YouTube.
Oh, our viewership is going to go way high.
Oh my God. Oh. Yeah.
Well, I mean, yes, I mean, kickers are the most aggravating part of the football team because you go down and you bust your ass, you do this, you do that, and they go down. The biggest issue I have with kickers is the way that they practice. You know, they're not really, they're part of the team, but yet they're not.
They're
really
off
part
on
of
the
team.
side. They are literally, the team is on one field.
Yep.
And
Long
they're off
snapper,
two
punter,
fields on the
kicker.
other side.
Yeah.
I don't know. These motherfuckers blowing away horns and all that. I'm like, something's going on. By the way, it's warm here in the Twin Cities, so I have my window open. So I'm hearing everything. And I live in Minneapolis. I live in South
Frozen,
Minneapolis.
after what JJ said he named his dog, I mean,
Yeah, come on. Yeah, ask him what he named his dog.
Oh, let's see.
Yeah, definitely Mewtwo Evil.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely Mewtwo. He's smoking some bad weed. He really is.
Well, I mean, he wasn't the only one saying this though, because Zoe was actually saying,
Zoe said if you don't have proof, he didn't say it.
"Oh, there's proof." 'Cause he
I
did it on
got
my-
proof. I remember him saying it.
He did it on my show. He
Yeah.
said, "Trade everybody. Trade Kurt. Trade JJ. Trade Darasol. Trade everybody." And I was telling him the three players you can't trade are O'Neal, Darasol, and JJ on offense. Those are the three players you can't trade. I mean, obviously they're not going to trade Addison because they just drafted him, but those are the three players on offense you can't trade.
Well, I'll tell you what. You know whose case went up now for top dollar is JJ because Jamar Chase is looking more and more like he's not worth what he got paid.
Yeah.
He's looking more and more like it. So now JJ's got that he's got that. He's got if
We're just
JJ
joking
comes
too,
back.
Evil.
Yeah, we're just joking with you too, Evil.
Yeah, you're here. You're here every show. We're
Yeah.
not going to meet you, man.
We're not going to mute you.
Yeah, we're
He's
just
not-
playing with you.
We're just playing with you. Unless you say something really outlandish, then we're gonna be like, I don't know about this guy. But, yeah, JJ now has. Yeah, see, there's the name right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep, there's the name. JJ, where'd you get that? Come on now. You're 13. Come on.
I bet his mom helped him name it.
David Ditter. Here's the deal with McCarthy. McCarthy is a Harbaugh guy. So if Jim Harbaugh gets the job in Chicago, which I think he just might. Don't be surprised if he drafts McCarthy. He's going to bring McCarthy to Chicago with him.
I don't know if that's. I don't know if that. I don't know if
You don't know what?
If I should be worried about JJ, I don't know.
Oh, to the Packers? To the Bears?
Yeah. Or JJ to the Packers, JJ to the Bears. I don't know.
Well, but here's the thing with JJ. JJ is that type of quarterback that fits a system. Oh, Jesus. Oh, God. Oh, my God. And on that note, everybody.
Oh, jeez.
You know, Sarah, I don't think Harbaugh's going to New England.
No, he would go to Chicago.
He'd go to Chicago before he go to New England. Harbaugh would not. Yeah,
Chicago.
Harbaugh would not work with Kraft.
Yeah,
Harbaugh would not work with Kraft.
I don't know. Bo Nix. I keep telling you, too, Evil. Bo Nix was not good in the SEC, which is closer to the NFL than Pac-12 is.
He's Oregon, right?
Yeah, he was not good at Auburn.
I saw one game of him, and I really wasn't impressed with him.
Yeah. Boston would love Harbaugh with that Boston accent. The guy. No, I don't know if Boston would love Harbaugh because he's not.
I don't think they would.
Chicago definitely would.
Chicago would because he's played there.
Yeah,
he played there. FCCs.
Yeah, he may not.
Well, you know what though? Poles may be out of a job.
Yeah,
Poles may be out of a job.
Are you talking about the Viking guy, or are you talking about Poles, Sarah?
Oh, for God's sakes.
Oh, JJ.
JJ, isn't it past your bedtime?
It's Friday night.
It is Friday night. Yeah. It is Friday night. The Viking guy. Oh, Poles? Is that who she's talking about?
No. The same Dickerson. Was it Dickerson? The same guy who did not become the Vikings head coach.
That's personal. That could be personal. And if he does, you're going to have to look into that.
But another team really can't dictate what another team does as far as hiring the head coach, right?
Yeah, and that guy has connections to Michigan also. He's a booster in Michigan. So, yeah, that's right. It's Friday, JJ. But what could happen is...
I know when I was 13, I wasn't going to bed at no damn 1:30 in the morning.
No, God, when I was 13, I was up till like 3 or 4 in the morning. You know, and we didn't have cable TV. We only had like 3-4 channels.
But
so
we had the squiggly line for the pay channels like HBO and all that. So
yeah,
my parents couldn't pay for that stuff. But barking at Too Evil.
Yeah, that sync. What is that guy's name? Stapleton.
Yeah, Stapleton.
Stapleton. He's got ties. Of course, he's a minority owner with the Vikings, but he's a booster with Michigan. Why he screwed up the whole Michigan thing, I don't know. nobody knows.
So are you saying at the bottom of the 80s, like later years in the 80s? Because the Vikings aren't at the bottom of the division in the 80s. They pretty much dominated the division in the 80s.
We were in the middle.
Um,
The Packers were at the bottom.
yeah, the Packers were at the bottom.
Packers,
The
it was either
Vikings-
the Packers or the Lions.
Not in the 80s. It was the Vikings or Packers. The Lions didn't win any divisions.
No, but the Lions were still like 9-7.
Oh yeah, but they
You
didn't
know,
win very
they
many
were
divisions.
still like middle, and then they hit a lull too. But
Well, 91, 93, they were good, but then
Yeah.
then after that they went
89
downhill.
they were garbage. 88 they
Yeah.
were garbage. 87 so-so. 86 so-so. 85 so-so. 83 they won the division. But but they made the playoffs 2 years in a row, 82 and 83.
Well, they do that though.
Yeah.
The Lions do that every 10 to 15 years.
Yeah, I
They
mean,
make that little run, and then that's it. You don't hear from them again for another 20 years.
but the 80s was run by the Bears owned the division from 84 up until like 80. Shit, not even 3 years.
A small dog or a real dog?
So
Oh, Frozen, you and I agree on that, buddy. Dog's got to be a big dog for me.
yeah, I need
Those
it. I got a
Chihuahuas.
big dog.
But yeah, my dog's 100. My dog's $150. So
Kind is he?
he's a Kuzov Terrier mix, but his size comes from the Kuzov. Kuzov is a Hungarian breed. They look like a Great Pyrenees, but they're bigger. Their job, they were bred to protect the sheep from the wolves. That was their job. So that's why the males are anywhere between. Mine's a little overweight. The males are usually between 120 to 135, and the females are like 100 to 115. But that was their job, was to protect, the herd from the wolves. So,
Okay.
but yeah, they're single family. I wouldn't recommend if you have a lot of people coming to your house all the time. I wouldn't recommend, because they are definitely a single family dog. So if you're in that family, whether they're nice as hell to kids, you can have kids, but if you're in that family and if you were with them when they were a puppy, then they're nice to you. But if you're a complete stranger, no. Which is good, because my wife used to be home a lot alone, and I knew with him being here, she was safe. So
Okay.
yeah. And then the other dog's a basset hound, which he ain't gonna scare nobody.
Here's the Too Evil. You know what? You could get a nice for JJ, because this team technically now has 2 wide receiver ones, Addison and Jefferson. So you could, but you're not gonna. You could also have with JJ and Addison. You could have another combination of like Moss and
Carter. Yep.
So you're not gonna take weapons away from whoever the quarterback is, especially in KOC's offense.
Yeah.
So they're both gonna be Vikings,
Which is good.
which is fine. I have no problem with it.
So they got a top 5 tight end. They got two great receivers.
Yeah.
Their biggest problem is their running backs. I don't care if the running back is great. He's just got to be able to read where a damn hole is.
Yeah, and why they kept Madison in the starting lineup is beyond me. He proved he can't see the holes. We've seen this before. We saw where he misses the opening. He just does. And I'm going to leave that one alone. I'm not going there.
He doesn't have kids, right?
But he doesn't have the vision. And sometimes it looks like Chandler doesn't have it either. But Chandler's got the speed. So what you need is somebody, because the holes will close right away. You need somebody to hit the holes quickly that can hit them just like that. And I think Chandler can do that. So, yeah, those were the 80 division winners.
If you look at the 70s, it's probably the same thing too. Packers, no division titles.
No, the Packers did win it in 72.
Oh wait, that was the year that wasn't that the year the Vikings?
That was the year we got. That's the year we got Tarkenton back.
Yeah, they weren't. That was the year they weren't very good because they lost players the season before.
Well, they got a lot of the defense. The Purple People leaders were hurt.
Yeah,
Eller and Page were hurt. But yeah, Packers won a division that year. But other than that, the only other team to win a division in the 70s besides the Vikings was Tampa Bay.
Well, too evil. That is the Vikings' history.
Yeah, that's we're good enough, you know. Well, yeah, when he's constantly running into him. When he's constantly running into him, that's all he sees.
Well, he can't even do that sometimes.
He can't even do that. He's got some flaws. He got jacked up in the Carolina game a couple times.
I mean, yeah, the last game he did make a good block, but yeah, he
Yeah.
does get it blown up sometimes. Yeah. Well, no, like we say this all the time, JJ. We love Alexander Madison as a human being. We absolutely love his dad, but just because you have respect for a guy personally doesn't mean that you can't criticize him doing his job. You know?
Yeah, that's right.
So he is a fantastic guy. He's
He's
awesome,
a great guy.
Yeah, he's an awesome human being. His
Yeah.
family's awesome. His dad is awesome. They all awesome, but
Yeah, but
Yeah.
brother, you getting paid to run through the holes and you missing them.
yeah, yeah. Can't run it. Well, this was my biggest criticism. This is why I'm glad that Dobbs is playing the way he's playing. The one criticism, I don't care if you're if you're 1,000, it's never Kirk's fault, whatever. If you're one of those dudes, is that when they got into the goal line, there was never a threat of Cousins running. Now there's a threat of him running in the end zone, which is why I think the Vikings offense, red zone offense, I think that's why the Vikings red zone offense is better since Dobbs been in, just because there's actually the threat of a running quarterback.
Yeah.
So when you don't have a running quarterback, the goal line situation is usually the worst because the quarterback is no threat to run. And plus, on top of that, the Vikings not being able to run the ball either. It's pretty much the defense plays the pass. So now with Dobbs in there, this goal line offense is going to be much better because now they can do an RP. Now here's another that play they ran with Ty Chandler for that touchdown. They still could have done that with Kirk in the game, but they never called it.
That was actually that play was designed for Cam Akers, I believe.
Right, I know, but what I'm saying is, why couldn't they call that with Kirk in the game? They could have called that same play with Kirk in the game, and no one would have saw it coming. But it seems like since Josh Dobbs has been in, Kevin O'Connor was like, "Well, I'm going to call everything now." It's like, well, you should have did that with Kirk. I mean, granted, you can't call.
There's probably certain things you can't call with Kirk. And
yeah, like the quarterback.
And here's the thing, though,
and stuff like that. Yeah,
teams know Kirk doesn't have the athleticism. He's not. He's not getting a pass. He's not out there to catch the ball. Dobbs, with his athleticism, you got to take that into consideration. Also, I think the Broncos have a spy on him Sunday night.
Yeah, but who's going to be it though? Because the Broncos have been good against mobile quarterbacks this year.
Yeah, but they're terrible against the run. That's why the Vikings
and they can't cover tight ends either.
And they can't cover tight ends either. So
I don't know. Did you watch T.J. Hawkinson's weekly interview?
Mm-mm.
They're having him run some of JJ's routes.
That's what I figured they were doing.
Because he would be like, during the practice, he would ask JJ, "Hey, what do I do on this? If their defense is giving me this look, what do I do on this route?" So he's running some of JJ's routes. Well, which says a lot if a tight end can do that.
And actually, Hawkinson took some hits last week that you could honestly say were old school NFL hits.
Yeah,
he took a few. But they also knew he was hurt. So you're right, David. If they can't run the ball against, and I think Denver's like 31 against the run.
Is Madison officially out?
Doubtful. I would say he's probably going to be inactive.
So then Ty Chandler needs to go off.
Are they going
to have three running backs? Are they going to? Because I haven't heard anything about McBride. Are they bringing McBride up, or is it just going to be Chandler and?
Didn't they bring back Gaskins?
Yeah, but he's still in the practice squad, isn't he?
So's McBride.
I would hope they would. Why the hell did you draft McBride if you ain't going to use him?
That's a good question.
And KOC is the offensive guy, so that would be his decision.
But you got to remember, he comes from the McVay tree, and McVay doesn't run the ball.
Yeah, McVay run when he had to, though. McVay would run to end the game.
Yeah, but here's the thing with KLC. KLC is impatient when it comes to the run. If it doesn't work, he's not. Well,
See,
I take that back because he did that with Cousins. He
Right.
didn't stay with the run because he knew Cousins could throw. But
yeah,
with Dobbs, you got to show more patience with it because it is Dobbs. But also, Dobbs can take off and run. So that's another aspect of it too. So,
ultimately, if they did lose one, this would be the one, just by the way the Broncos are playing.
Yeah, this would be the one.
The way the league is propping Denver up right now. So I could see this week being the week that they lose.
Yeah, this game would be the one. But like I said, they're not going to come out there and beat us. Just beat us they don't have the firepower to beat us on the field. They don't. So if the Broncos do win this game, they're going to get some help. And you know what I mean by help. So,
yes, quite a few times, JJ, and it's not a very pleasant feeling.
Yeah, it sucks. I'm just being honest. It sucks.
You really try not to panic because you know it's a short-term thing, but your body instinctively reacts. And
the worst is I have asthma. So then it's really a, biatch.
Yeah, it's not a very pleasant feeling at all.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they did re-sign Myles Gaskins, but I don't know if he plays or not. Yeah, Frozen. That's what shocked me about it is that TJ never says anything in his pressers.
No, he doesn't talk a lot.
Yeah,
he does not talk a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't even know. I haven't seen because both my wife and I have been sick I'm actually sick right now, but my wife and I have not felt good the last couple of days. So I really haven't checked up on who's hurt, who's not. I just saw JJ was questionable. That's all. We better have it. Yeah, that's the only reason the Bills lost.
And that's on McDermott.
Mm-hmm.
That's on McDermott. Yeah, they're already talking about, and here's the thing, from what my girl's been telling me, the Atlanta fans want blank to sell the team. So they've turned on him, they've turned on Smith, they have turned on everybody, and Bijan can't hang on to the football.
He can't hold on to the football. That's why they don't use him.
That's why they don't use him. That's why they kept Algier, because he can't hang on to the football.
I wouldn't mind having Samantha as a sideline Viking reporter, because that would be the only ponder I would with.
That's the only ponder I would sign. Yeah, that's the only ponder.
It is a very pleasant way to describe it. Yeah, JJ, if you've never had it happen to you, you're lucky. It's, oh God. Like I said, I've had it happen to me before, and I knew what it was. And I was saying, don't panic. It'll come back. But your mind is like, I can't breathe. So yeah, it's scary. And that's why they lift the shorts. That's why they lift the pants up, because to make the breathing go up and down more, so you can catch your breath a lot easier.
Right.
Yeah. It may not be a full minute, but damn sure it feels like an hour.
Feels like an eternity.
Yeah.
It does. It feels like an eternity.
I think Frozen probably knows. Probably knows. He seems like a medical guy. I don't know what he does for a living, but my wife's is a nurse, and everything that Frozen North, my wife backs up. So he's got to be in the medical field some way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my wife said that injury that Jordan Hicks suffered is pretty serious.
Yeah, they kept him in the hospital.
Yeah, the compartment syndrome.
Yeah.
Basically, my wife was saying that if it's swelled up that bad, that they would have to cut all the way down to the bone to relieve the pressure.
He had emergency ER.
Yeah, because the pressure was so much, and it damages the skin. It damages like the nerves, damages everything in the leg right there. So they have to cut down to the bone to relieve the pressure. And that's
Could that end his career?
I'm not sure. North, like I said, North might know because he seems to be medical. But
Well, he's also what? Isn't he like 31, 32?
that's everybody. Weevil.
You know what's funny? I haven't had Taco Bell in so long, and I don't miss it.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I live in Texas, and they still have Taco Bells here, and the Taco Bells are busy. I'm like, why? You literally have a real Mexican place right across the street.
Isn't there like some guy with a truck that serves authentic Mexican tacos?
The best tamales are from Abuela in a dark alley selling them out of her trunk.
But they're still going to Taco Bell.
Yes. And you can get like 10 tacos for like you can get 10 of them for like $5.
But they're still going to Taco Bell.
But they're still going to Taco Bell.
Oh, for God's sake.
I go to Taco Bell because they got the Baja Mountain Dew. That's the only reason I go. But most of the Taco Bells here are Taco Bell and KFC, but there are a couple of freestanding Taco Bells that
Yeah.
are just lights out busy, and I don't know why. The KFC Taco Bell ones I can understand because you're going to KFC,
Mhm.
but yeah, the straight just Taco Bells, I don't understand how they're busy here. It makes no sense. Yeah, Sarah, that is on the head coach and the OC mostly. Well, the head coach for the Bills is an offensive coordinator, right? He's an offensive guy, right?
Who?
McDermott.
No.
He's
He's a
defense.
defensive guy.
So that'd be more on the OC then,
Yeah.
or the special teams court or the special teams, right? Was it a kick with the field goal they missed, right?
Yeah. Well, it was 11 men on the field, and then no, he got blamed for Allen's poor play.
Well, Allen wasn't good coming out of college.
Mm-mm.
A quarterback named Ponder.
Damn.
No, I don't. You can't stand.
You can't stand up. You're usually either hunched over in the fetal position.
Yeah. See, this is medical stuff right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it can.
Like I said, JJ, if you never play football, you probably. I think it's pretty much the only sport where that happens. Maybe in hockey, but basketball, there's not enough contact, and baseball, if you get hit in the right spot with baseball, maybe. But football is going to happen by far and away. So.
Oh yeah, football is going to happen. It's going to happen in football.
Yeah, the mini tacos at Taco Bell are good. Well, you've never had real street tacos. That's all I'm saying.
Street tacos rock. That's all.
Street tacos, especially here especially here living in Texas, you get three of them for like $1.50, and they got barbacoa on it with the cilantro and the onions. Oh yeah, you get a corn tortilla instead of a flour tortilla. Oh god, yeah. You never had real Mexican food until you come to a place where it's close to Mexico, like California, Arizona, Texas. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, that was a heated show today. They got into it, especially when it came to Kirk Cousins today.
Who did?
Zoe was on Rap Show.
Okay.
Before our show started, it was him, Rap, and Woods.
Okay.
They were on there, and Kirk Cousins came up, and of course Zoe said that the reason the Vikings lost that playoff game to the Giants was solely the 4th and 8 play where Kirk Cousins threw it for 3 yards. Totally discounting how bad the defensive play. He's like, Kirk Cousins is the reason they lost that game.
I blame him too.
But he's not the reason. I mean, I told Zoe, I said, yes, you can say that play was not a very good play, and it contributed to the loss. But it wasn't the reason they lost the game. The reason they lost the game was the defense.
Yeah, but then when you have a quarterback, which once again he became check down Charlie, you needed 8 yards. You didn't even attempt to throw it 5 yards.
Yeah. Good night, Sarah. Appreciate
Good night,
you,
Sarah.
Appreciate you are you and Mary are the queens of the Viking network that we have here, and we appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. So I do blame Kirk for that to a point. I also blame KOC, for keeping Donatel for as long as he did. That's solely on, but the Kirk has been a polarizing factor ever since he got up here. Never said the guy couldn't play quarterback. He doesn't have that leadership quality, and he melts down. And
I think when they first signed him, the first 3 years he was here, there wasn't a lot of complaint. Well, the first 2 years he was here, people were like, okay, he's better than what we had. Let's see what we can do. And then I think when the trouble really started is when they re-signed him.
First of all, I wouldn't have signed him in the first place.
Well, he was the best free agent quarterback. That's why they.
I still wouldn't have signed him. If you watch what he did in Washington, was he better than what we had? Yeah, but like I said, I would have run it back with Case Keenum.
I wouldn't have. And Zimmer wasn't. Zimmer did not like Keenum because Keenum didn't listen.
Zimmer didn't like any quarterback whose name wasn't Teddy.
Right.
So you throw that out the window, but then you bring Kirk in. And you're telling Zimmer, Zimmer to win with this guy, or else it's going to cost you your job. And Zimmer even said, a move like that's going to, if it doesn't work out, people are going to lose their jobs. And guess what? He was right.
Everybody lost their job.
Everybody lost their job except Kirk
and Keenan McCardle, the wide receiver coach.
Well, why would they fire McCardle?
I don't know. I'm glad they kept him though. But
McCardle could have left because
so
he had other options, but he could have left. But I mean, Kirk, he's been here how many years? We won one playoff game.
Yeah.
And it's just like, which is funny. Here's the thing with Zimmer. Zimmer didn't like quarterbacks. And Zimmer played quarterback.
Maybe that's why he didn't like him.
Yeah, maybe. Well, he sucked, so he figured all quarterbacks suck. But I mean, that I never understood that. It's like, the position you played is a position that you have no patience for with your team. But I mean, Kirk is polarizing. He just is. So that's just, and he will be if he even comes back from this Achilles tear. That's a big if.
I still think the Vikings. I think there's still a good chance that they re-sign him.
Well, they would re-sign him in a money move. It would be a money move because he's 28 mil on the damn So.
Well, then they don't keep Dobbs because Dobbs and Cousins are two totally different quarterbacks. You go back to keep him.
Well, Dobbs is going to get paid. Dobbs is going to get paid, but the one you do keep is Jaron Hall. You could probably run the same offense with Jaron Hall. So I'd prefer Dobbs stay, but you never know.
Yeah,
you never know. It depends on how he heals up. But so are we on for Sunday night?
I know we definitely are. I don't know if anybody else is doing it, but we're definitely doing the post game show.
Okay, depending on what time it's done.
Well, I'm doing it, so I mean, I'm sure I can get if you have something coming up or can't do it, I'm sure I can get someone to fill in if I need to.
Well, I can pop on for a little bit, but
yeah,
I have Monday morning. I got to get up early. I have tests to run, so
yeah. So Zoe will probably come in.
Okay.
So we can probably get. I mean, it may not be our typical 2-hour post game show. It just might be an hour or so.
Hell, this one was. If people that have watched the vintage think those shows are long, we went 3 hours tonight.
Yeah.
3.5 hours tonight talking about the division.
Well, the chat was lively tonight.
Yeah.
We had a lot of people in here tonight. So, and they just kept coming up with questions. So,
yeah.
So final thoughts. So you say the Vikings win the division. So are they the 2 or 3 seed? Because they're going to have a better record than whoever wins the South. So they're either going to be the 2nd seed or 3rd seed.
I'm going to say they will probably be the 3rd seed, but I don't rule out they could be the 2nd seed.
So that probably means they might get the Seahawks if they're the third seed.
Mm-hmm. They would get the third seed would get the sixth seed.
Right.
Yep.
And then the Lions. So either the Vikings win, that means the Lions. So, oh man, it's hard to say. Well, pretty much the playoff teams are pretty much set.
Mm-hmm.
The 7 teams in the NFC right now are more than likely going to be the 7 teams in the playoffs.
Right. It's just how they finish and
how they finish. Yeah.
Where they land. What are the Niners right now?
I think the Niners only have those 3 losses. That's it.
Okay.
6-3.
All right. So depending on their schedule, because say that Vikings tie with the Niners, Minnesota beat them, so that could bump the Vikings up to 2. Beating the Niners could have the Vikings as a second seed, depending on how the rest of the season plays out.
Yeah. So those are their only 3 losses. They have the Buccaneers. They get the Seahawks. They got the Eagles. They got the Seahawks. They got the Cardinals.
Mm-hmm.
They have the Ravens, the Commanders, and then the 49ers.
Who's that again?
49ers.
The 49ers? And they got the Ravens?
So they have the Bucks in San Fran. They should win that.
Yep.
Then they play at Seattle. That's going to be tough.
That's going to be tough.
Then they play at Philly.
Ooh.
And then they play Seattle.
In California.
Right. And then they play the Cardinals. They should win that game.
They should win that one, no problem.
And then they play Baltimore. It's in San Fran.
Okay, that could be a tough game for them.
Yeah, and that one's Christmas night. So the 49ers actually play 3 straight road games. They play the Cardinals, they play the 49ers, and then they play the Commanders.
So here's the thing. The Cardinals, the 49ers, I mean, they could be, say they
can get 3 more losses.
They can get 3 more losses, which would make them 11-6.
Yep.
And if I have the Vikings running the table, they would be what, 13-4. Wow. So
Yeah.
Minnesota would actually be the second seed, depending on how Philly does.
Well, we got to remember Philly holds a tiebreaker as well, just like they did in 2017.
For how? Divisional conference record?
Head to head.
Oh, yeah, head-to-head. That's right.
Because I think the head to head is the third tiebreaker.
So you kind of got to hope Dallas wins out.
Well, if Dallas wins out, then they would be the number 1 seed. If Dallas has only got 3 losses.
Yeah, so they would be number 1. Scott. I don't want to hear about that with them Cowboy fans.
And I live in Texas. I sure as hell don't want to hear that.
Don't want to hear that. Do not want to hear that.
Oh my gosh. It would be so sweet though.
And they'll get the bye.
Because if they do play Dallas in the playoffs, I probably will go to that game, and I hope Minnesota beats them.
Oh, if they play in Dallas?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, there'll be a bunch of Viking fans there too.
There was last time.
Yeah, from what I heard, even the Cowboys damn near 50-50 that stadium with fans.
It depends on who they're playing.
Right.
If
there's a lot of Minnesota transplants down there, though.
If they're playing like the Bengals, it's going to be mostly got Cowboy fans. But if they're playing a team like Minnesota, if they're playing a team like Green Bay, if they're playing a team like Washington, you know.
Pull up Frozen's comment about the 13-4 seasons. They won't be considered frauds anymore because of what KOC did with the quarterback position. If he runs the table.
Yep.
And with the defense.
Yep.
That throws the whole fraud thing out of the window. And that would also make KOC a legitimate head coach. It would. Whatever flaws he has, the 13-4 covers it up. For him to get 2 in a row, last year was fraudulent being outscored by your opponents and then losing the way you did. This year, it is you're balanced on both sides of the ball. So that changes the narrative completely. Where last year they were offense heavy, but they still had to come from behind to win many of their games.
And they are plus 24 this year.
Yeah. to now this year, you're balanced on both sides of the ball, and you're still balanced even with you didn't have your star wide receiver, you didn't have your top wide receiver for 5 games, you lost your starting quarterback the whole year, and at the moment you couldn't run the ball. But if you run the table, this year looks more legit than last year.
Yep.
Just because there's balance. I think we're better than all our remaining opponents too. I thought we were better than Cincinnati before Burrow got hurt.
But the reason I gave Cincinnati the chance to win that game was because their quarterback is so much better.
And I said outdoors.
Yeah.
You know, but you know what? Burrow, he's been playing hurt all year, so you never knew which Burrow you were going to get. But
yeah,
as a
healthy
team,
he's by far one of the best quarterbacks in the league.
But as a team, that defense is not good.
No, they are not.
That defense is not good at all.
And we'll have JJ back then.
And we'll have JJ back. And he's going up against him and Jamar.
Yeah.
You know? Here's the thing, though. Jamar has more of a chance of becoming a diva than JJ.
Just nothing that I have seen from JJ that would say that he's a diva. With Stephon Diggs, you could kind of see the signs that he was diva.
Yeah.
And it's happening again in Buffalo. Like I said, hey, Buffalo Bills fans, us Viking fans told you that when the going gets tough, that's
Diggs
when
is going to
see,
check out.
That's when you see Diggs turn into a diva. And what's happening is it's going tough. And
if you realize that there's always that talk of windows closing as far as getting
their windows closed.
Their windows closed.
Yeah.
Their windows closed.
People are going to say, well, Josh Allen's a young quarterback. Well, no, because he's not going to play under rookie contract anymore.
He's not going to play under rookie contract, and Josh Allen is who he is.
Yeah.
He's who he is right now. And Josh Allen, I hate to say it, his ego, he's today's Jay Cutler. Yeah. Put it that way, as far as ego goes. You're probably stuck where you are with him. But
I think the Dolphins have the best outlook in that division.
Yeah, if they could just beat teams above 500.
Yeah, because Rodgers is only going to be with the Jets maybe one more year at the most.
He'll come back next year to prove everybody wrong.
Yeah, and that's probably going to be another MVP year, knowing that asshole.
Yeah, he's gonna come back. He's gonna come back with that one thing to go out on top. His ego will let him. Oh, by the way, when the off season starts, here's a weird situation. Dobbs and Cousins have the same agent.
Yeah,
they have the same agent, so we'll see how it plays out. That's all we can do. So
I don't know. Lambeau Field's pretty bad.
I'll tell you what. Soldier Field was actually a pretty cool stadium before they did the renovation.
Right.
And once they did the renovation, it looks horrible now.
And it's not a very safe area.
No.
That's why they want to move to the suburbs, because anywhere. That's why the White Sox are thinking about moving as well, is because, I mean, come on, there was shots at the stadium during the game. I mean, come on, really.
Well, you know what? The Cubs ain't moving.
No, because they're on the north side.
Yeah, the Cubs ain't moving.
It's always been north side, south side. So, yeah. So we'll wrap it up after this. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. I think JJ's more of a team player than Stephon. And I'll tell you what,
what you do, Tony? They turned the sirens right when they got by you. What happened?
Yeah, and it got louder. What the hell's going on?
You ever see that Beavis and Butthead episode where they're watching cops and like, hey, that house looks familiar?
Yeah, they're right outside the house.
Get the door. I don't want to miss this.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think JJ will be fine, but I think with Stephon, with a couple of players, actually with all three, I'm just going to say all three: Thielen, Rudolph, Diggs. Had a lot to do with Kirk. I think it had a lot to do with Kirk. There were a bunch of players that knew the narrative on Kirk Cousins, and once they played with him, I mean, they're going to say the right things on camera and stuff like that, but behind the scenes, no love lost. You knew that with Kyle Rudolph when he gave his retirement speech. He didn't mention Kirk Cousins. So there's that whole thing. And the Viking front office has done basically PR gymnastics.
Well, I mean,
make
you got to take
Kirk
what
out to
Thielen
be
says
this
with a
guy.
grain of thought, because Thielen did say the Panthers have a good shot at winning the Super Bowl.
Thielen knows they don't. He knows they don't. And he probably said that to a reporter, a Charlotte reporter.
Yeah.
So he probably said that to them. He knows damn well if they do get good, he's not going to be there because he's probably going to retire.
Yeah.
So they might have the building blocks, but Rudolph, Diggs says there was no problem with him in.
I heard that that it wasn't Kirk directly; it was an issue with the whole offense. So like if the offense was different and Kirk was the quarterback, he wouldn't have complained so much.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't necessarily Kirk the reason why he left. It was more of the fact of how the offense was being run, is what he didn't like. But I don't know how you say that when you had how many catches a year and how many yards.
I think he had better yards here. I think he had better production here than he did in Buffalo.
He has not had his Buffalo seasons have not been what they were in Minnesota.
Well, and also Gabe Davis has came on.
Yeah.
Gabriel Davis.
So I don't know what he was complaining about with the offense, but I think he just wants to be the main guy. He wants all the catches. He doesn't want to get the catches anybody else.
And I think isn't Diggs 30 or close to it?
Yeah, and then his brother is chirping off, telling about how he wants to be out of Buffalo.
Yeah. Yeah, and at his age, I don't know where the hell he's going to go and who's going to pay the money for him. But
well, they're stuck with Allen and they're stuck with Diggs. So
yeah,
So I think next week's show is I want to get more reviews on my channel. So I think next week's show is just going to be on my channel. So please, guys, go to my channel, hit the like.
Are we going to do State of the North next week too?
Well, no, like 2 weeks.
Okay, 2 weeks. Okay.
Yeah. So make sure you hit the like. Make sure you hit the bell notifications and know when the show comes on because it tells you when it comes on.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing our post game show after the game Sunday. I don't know how long we're going to do it because it is a Sunday night game. So we are going to be doing the post game show. And then we have our Wednesday show, Vikings talking Vikings history. We don't know what the topic is going to be. We'll let the topic know. And then we also and so then Tony, you also have your Tony takes.
Yeah, and I do that after every game. I do a short video,
and that's on Yogi's channel, Purple Rain 24/7. And you also do you still do things on YouTube and Twitch and all that, or no?
I don't have Twitch. Whatever I post on YouTube, I post to Yogi's channel.
Okay.
So
yeah, so it was a pleasure. I love doing this show. This is a bi-weekly show. Our vintage shows every week. We are the only people who do. We are the only show that talks Vikings history every week. We've already discussed Hall of Famers. We discussed first-round picks. We discussed the 4 Super Bowls. We discussed the party boat. We've discussed top 10 running backs, top 10 quarterbacks, backup quarterbacks / quarterbacks. And we've also did the inaugural season, how the Vikings became franchise. We did front office. I think those are all our shows so far.
We did the coaches.
Yeah, we did. Well, the Vikings have only had 11 coaches in their history, so that was yeah.
So that was
we did the coaches as well.
Yep.
So you can always go back and check those shows. You can hit my channel up. It's all the episodes are on my channel, or you can hit Yogi's channel up. Go back and watch it. Especially if not safe for kids is the Vikings Love Boat.
The Love Boat one is not safe for kids.
All the other ones are, but that one is not. So you go ahead and hit us up on those. And like I said, if you have any ideas, if you watch an old Vikings, if you watch an old vintage episode and you have an idea for us to do a show, go ahead and drop it in the comments, and we'll go ahead and let you guys know. We have already done. Sarah's idea was a top 10, was the first round pick. She's already done her show. So if you guys have a good idea, we'll go ahead and talk about it on the vintage.
Yep.
So to end this, we both think the Vikings are going to run the table and catch the Lions for the division.
And I think the Vikings win the division.
And then, but do they win a playoff game?
Oh, jeez.
That is the question.
Yeah, that's the question.
That is the question. So we'll find out.
Yep.
So, like I said, thank you for everybody for listening, and we will see you in 2 weeks for this show. But we will see you Sunday night for the post-game show.
I know you're scared. I do too. If I were you. I know you're scared.